Falcon fans, and of course, good old Atlanta Falcon fans. You already know what it is. You already know what to do. One time for the fan, episode 194, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Amazon Podcast, and a whole lot more. But we are back. Talking Falcons football, feeling good, feeling great. Long day for me today, but I'll get to that shortly. T-Will. We've had a crazy weekend here, man.
That we have, sir.
It's good to see you back. How's everything going around your way, my brother?
Good to see you, man. All is well. All is well. Hey, just getting through this Sunday like the rest of us, but all is well. No complaints. Glad to be here. Thank God he woke me up this morning and ready to talk some Falcons football. So, hey, let's get to it.
Ready to talk some Falcons football. That's one thing about T-Will. That I can say when the podcast is starting up and the intro's going on and everybody's jumping in the chat, that there are some people here on this podcast that can talk Falcons football all day. And that goes to Chase. Big shout out to Chase. DFU too as well. Bodie. But T-Will, man, you can talk Falcons football all day. We just did a podcast here tonight, 4.5 hours, right? Which we actually could have stayed even longer because as soon as we were getting off of the call or the podcast, the Falcons go live for their press conference, and we could have stayed another hour and some change there talking about what the Falcons said. But we had another podcast the following morning at 9 a.m. for our breakfast with One Time for the Fan.
Yep.
So pretty much we had about a good 6 hours in the past couple of days to talk Falcons football with you all.
Yes, sir, we did.
So a lot has happened here in the Atlanta Falcons world. For fans here in the chat, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Hashtag the fan club. Hashtag one-timers. Throw those one-time emojis around. You can see a DSGB Hall has the one-time emoji. It's that one emoji with the clock right there. You put that in the chat. We love talking with our Falcon fan base. And we talked about this on Breakfast with One Time for the Fan on Friday, that the next podcast would be tonight, right? And we knew that some more draft picks would be in the building, and we can probably find out some news about what direction this Falcons team is heading. And I think we found that out, Terry, over the weekend, of what direction this team is heading. And for everybody in the chat, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Bring your questions to the chat. Bring your comments to the chat. If you want to talk Falcons football with us, you want to talk about the draft, we can talk about the draft. You want to vent about Michael Penix, you can vent about Michael Penix right here. You want to talk about the rest of the picks that the Falcons made, we can talk about it right here. You want to talk about the cheerleaders, I don't want to talk about the cheerleaders, but if you want to talk about the cheerleaders, we can talk about the cheerleaders. I think they have a pretty good group of cheerleaders that's probably the best in the NFL. But if you have anything else to say about the fan base or the stadium or whatever, schedule, right here on One Time for the Fan. One Time for the Fan is from the fan for the fan. So this platform is for you all. Deshaun's in the chat. He said, "What's up, one-timers?" Question: where was Tupac Shakur born? I also got a movie coming out soon. Yeet! Get some. Where was Tupac Shakur born? T-Will, do you have the answer for that?
Was it New York?
Tupac Shakur, as we do know, was born in New York.
There you go.
From Brooklyn or Harlem or Queens, one of those areas. But
I want to say it's Harlem.
He tried to stomp us again.
I want to say it's Harlem.
He tried to stomp us again. Yes, it is Harlem. Deshaun Carrs was in the chat. Big shout out to Deshaun in the chat. Sterling Woods in the chat. He said draft weekend was crazy.
Yes,
we drafted for now and the future. Now, here's the thing about One Time for the Fan here, chat. The chat gets crazy every once in a while, right? So I think it might get crazy tonight. So we're going to try to do our best we can to keep up with the chat, as well as talk to you all about what we have to say here on One Time for the Fan. Sterling Woods says, we on CP time today, y'all. Sheesh. Some technical difficulties. I had had some business to take care of earlier. Then I got a chance to play some golf too as well. So I was doing that. I had to get home, take care of everything that needed to be taken care of here at the house. and try to eat dinner and get everything situated. And then had to send out the invites. And by the time I looked up, man, it was at 8 o'clock and some change. I'm like, damn, man, got to rush to get this done. But the cool thing about the podcast is, it's our podcast, right? So you might see a couple 805, 807, 809. You might see that every now and then. But I think we've done our fair share of staying longer than we're supposed to when it's time to end the show.
I would agree. I would agree with that. 138%, sir. Absolutely.
We have our grace time, T-Will, but then again, we go over the grace time because fans in the chat are so lit, right? And
we love it. And we love it.
We do. Sometimes we go into like the green room afterwards, and we're sitting there talking, and people are still commenting, and it's like we can just go live and continue this.
Do it again. Yeah.
We could do it again. The cool thing about it is we have our scheduled shows, which is Sundays and Wednesdays, and then we have our Friday morning show. But people is asking us to do more shows, like more content, and it's like, all right, well, I guess we'll look into that. But we love what we have right now here at One Time for the Fans. So big shout out to Sterling Woods, big shout out to Deshaun, big shout out to DSGB Hall here in the chat too as well, checking in. OMT's in the chat said our linebacker core is the great white hope in Atlanta. Sheesh, it's kind of beautiful. This draft had me sick, confused, sad, and angry. Today, I am pretty damn happy with everything overall. What a jersey. See, fans, it's cool.
Wow. This dude just described a romantic comedy. He said it had me mad, sad, angry, upset, confused, and now I'm happy.
Spent a lot of time on Netflix this weekend, I'm guessing OMT.
I don't know, man. You got mail or something. Maybe he was watching Love Jones. I don't know.
OMT is experiencing what a lot of fans went through this weekend because from the first pick to the last pick, I can guarantee you there's a lot of fans like, what? Why? What is going on here? And the thing about it is, Falcon fans, we still don't know the full vision of the team because a game hasn't been played. A snap hasn't been called.
Right.
And we're just listening to words from the coach and from the GM, and we're trying to get energized about it. We're trying to feel good about it. I think most of us are. The ones that's, been here through thick and thin, and they're going to continue being diehard Falcon fans, regardless of what happens after this season or next season. They're going to continue being fans. But the turnaround, I believe, is this year. I believe we do start off hot, and we continue to remain hot. I believe we do outrun the South. Like, I'm listening to Raheem talking about unfinished business, listening to Terry and the Falcon and Terry and Raheem and them, and they stand on business on everything they've said. Even when you go back to the Michael Penix quarterback situation, you can go listen to when Terry was leading up to the draft. He mentioned some in a couple of interviews about drafting a quarterback and about finding the best guy, right? So Falcon fans, we got a guy for now. We got a guy for the future. But I understand what fans were going through. Big shout out to OMT in the chat because there were a lot of fans that started off mad, and then they were upset, and then they got feeling a little bit better, and then from there they started getting upset again because they wanted some of their players to be selected. And for me, I just wanted a good draft. That's what I wanted. I wanted a good draft, and I think overall we did get a good draft. Terry, the draft is now set. The players are in the building. We're going to talk about them in a matter of minutes. But how are you feeling now that all the speculations, the rumors, all this mocks, the stuff that we've been doing on, getting these fans ready for draft on our end? How do you feel now that the class is here, the rookie class is here, and these are some of the players that could possibly help us take us down the long road?
Curious. Mm-hmm. I'm in an inquisitive mood. Because I'm wondering how we're going to implement some of these players into our system and where they're going to fit and how they're going to be used. I think one of the themes of our draft is for our defensive tackles, we want length, long arms, that's a common theme. So I'm just curious as to, I think we drafted 3 defensive tackles and 1 edge rusher. Clearly the emphasis was on the defensive line. I guess my first question is, does this mean that Calais and or what's the other guy we hadn't signed? Bud Dupree. Does this mean they're not coming back? Because we drafted a lot of folks.
I still think that one of them would be here in the building soon. That's just my take, but it's on you, sir.
Okay. No. And then we drafted a running back. I'm guessing he's going to be our third running back. I've been hearing that he supposedly replaced CP, but I don't know that he would do that. But just curious as to how we're going to integrate the running back and the wide receiver. I do see that we did draft the guy from Georgia, Zion Logue, a big defensive tackle.
Big
So
boy.
I'm guessing, the nose tackle fight is going to be between Eddie. What's Eddie's last name?
Eddie Goldman.
Eddie can't stay here past the. No, I'm kidding. Eddie Goldman and God, what's the other guy? Other big dude. Oh, what's his name? Golly, I should have looked at the roster. Okay, well, anyway, that's a 3-man fight, right? So I'm just curious as to going forward how these guys will be implemented. What camp battles will we have? Who else are we going to sign? Are we going to go with our existing cornerbacks? Which it really seems like, hearing them interview post draft, it seems like they are. I don't know, and there could be another move at cornerback, but I really don't see it. So that's kind of where I am. More questions than anything. I'm excited about some of the picks. I'm excited. Others, okay, we'll see. But all in all, I don't have an issue with any pick that they made. As you say so often, Jack, we're not in the building. We don't know what their vision is. We don't know what their plan is. A lot of these guys, I would say, seem to be better fit for like 4-3 defenses because even though they may be tall, they're not as bulky. But again, I could see 2 of these defensive tackles being used as just edge rushers, to be honest with you. So, those are my thoughts. I'm going to kick it off to you. What are your thoughts on the draft? How are you feeling? And what are your takeaways?
For me, and we're going to talk about some of the players here. And it's a cool thing. On Wednesday, we're going to have a panel of some, Falcon content creators and probably a couple fans too as well. And they can give us their take on this team and, how they feel the direction is going for the Falcons and not their draft grades, but how they feel about the draft, right? For me, the first pick, it did shock a lot of people, right? And we was here live on One Time for the Fans, so we got a chance to chat with a lot of people here on the show, and of course in the chat too as well. 4.5 hours, it was great to talk Falcons football for that long. But we were shocked with the Michael Penix pick, but then seeing the rest of the draft throughout the weekend, I was glad that the Falcons did address the defensive line. I thought they brought in some big bodies, right? Who's going to be able to push the pocket for the scheme that they need going forward here with Jimmy Lake and, of course, some of these guys they have here on the coaching staff, because you have to bring pressure, right? And if you look at some of the guys that they brought in, which another fan from another team could say the same thing about the players that they brought in, but it has to work right with what you want, right? And the Falcons brought in some guys that's going to be working well with what they want. They needed some big guys on the front line. They got that, right? They needed some speed in the wide receiver room. I mean, they got that with Casey Washington. An additional running back too as well. I kind of talked about that earlier on the podcast a couple weeks ago. I thought they were going to draft a running back. I didn't think it was going to be Buddy from Alabama, but I figured they were going to draft a running back. I think we talked about they were going to draft a quarterback. So some things Falcon fans kind of got right. It was just like the player they didn't get right. So then they're kind of upset. I'm not upset at all about none of these players.
Or the order of players.
I'm not upset at all because, Terry, like you said, I'm not in the war room with the Falcons. Like I'm not in there talking to Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris. I'm on here in this podcast talking to you all. So when I was talking about Dallas Turner and Jared Verse and Latu, those were the guys that we all figured was going to go that route. And when it's Michael Penix, I mean, we still had him on most of our draft boards because we talked about it here on the channel. But the cool thing to see is how many teams needed quarterbacks and how many quarterbacks were available before we got Kirk Cousins. We talked about that. It was Kirk, it was Russell, it was Justin Fields, right? And then it was a couple other names we kind of threw out there that was like, that wouldn't work. And then it was going to the rookie draft class. which we saw go 1, 2, and 3 off the board. They were not budging on those picks. They can talk all that shit they want before the draft started. They were not budging on those picks.
Which is what we said, which is essentially what we said from day one.
That. So
they
to
weren't
be a
going to
team
trade.
from 8 to move up to top 4 or 5 would have gave up everything to go get one of those guys. And you saw Drake May go, right? And then you saw Marvin Harrison Jr., because the show that we did before the podcast, we talked about it, that they may go Marvin Harrison. Joe Alt goes 5. I think JC Lethem was kind of wild at 7 because we was like, wait, where did that come from? But it kind of stayed the course until it got to 8, and everybody was like, whoa, because we grabbed the quarterback for the future, who right now, coming out of college, I mean, he was pretty good. He was pretty good. I'm not thanking the Falcons for doing that. I think we're all shocked at what the Falcons did in that first round. But guess what? If you look at long-term for the future, Raheem and Terry said it. Kurt is now, Michael Penix Jr. is later. And that's the cool thing about it. We can address that and say, all right, cool. I see what they did there. Now give us a better draft class going forward. Yeah. And day 2 and day 3, they picked it up. And some of y'all was expecting, I know, a couple other players on that board day 2. But then when they picked Rook, you guys were like, who was Rook? Because I saw the tweets. Right. I saw most of the chatter in some of these groups. Who is Rook? Because a lot of y'all didn't watch Clemson football.
Right.
Some of us get stuck on our team. Like if Georgia's not playing them, we don't care about it. If
right.
Ohio State's not playing them, they don't care about it. Because a lot of these fans are fans of different teams. Alabama fans are in the chat too as well. But some of y'all didn't watch Clemson football, nor did y'all care about Clemson football like that.
Right.
But Rook was an outstanding player at Clemson. And who had him on most of y'all scouting reports? Because nobody in the chat here mentioned Rook. We never mentioned Rook on the channel, so nobody here is wrong. The Falcons did their scouting report, and their evaluation said that Rook is going to be a player that's going to work well here in Atlanta. And if you go back and look at some of the highlights in the films and the RAS score, the RAS score of Rook, and his strengths coming out of college, Rook he's the top 5 defensive lineman coming out the draft.
He scored very high. I think there was only one area that he wasn't green in, and that area was yellow. It wasn't even red, but his scores were off the charts. I just think he's not. I don't know how tall he is, but he's not.
Flashy name.
He's not.
We're expecting, right?
Yeah, he's bulky, but I don't know. Like for a defensive tackle, I don't know that the weight is there. When you watch him on film, he flashes. He generates pressure. He typically doesn't miss. He definitely generates pressure.
6'4", 294. He's played in multiple techniques. I think if you go ask some of these Falcon coaches or some of these coaches that's out here in the NFL, or even some of the ones that's on the sideline of where they're going to be putting Rook. Rook is not just lining up in front of the center. Rook is going to be everywhere on that defensive line.
That's correct. Yeah, he's very versatile. He's very versatile.
He gets after it. Like Rook is a nasty player.
I wonder if they're going to have him put on 10 pounds, just out of curiosity.
I mean, you have Grady Jarrett and Dave Amiata, who's, Grady Jarrett weighs more than him.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying contingent upon where they want to play him, right? And that's I feel like they'll probably line him up over the tackle or guard. I don't, they're saying that they would line him over nose tackle, but contingent upon the team that you're playing, I don't know how that's going to go. You know what I mean?
96 or around the same weight, him and Grady. He's a little bit more taller than Grady. He's more like a Zach Harrison type of body too.
Yeah.
He's played on that inside. I mean, compared to Zion now, the Georgia tackle. Nah, that's a different story though. That's a big boy.
Right. And that's like Eddie, right? That's a more prototypical. Again, we're in a 3-4, right? Yeah. Even though it may be some variation of it, we're in a 3-4. You typically want a wide body nose, right? You want a big Haas there so they can occupy 2 blocks. So, but again, a lot of times in the NFL, you may run a 4-3, but you got variations. You may run a 3-4, but they're variations of a 4-3. So it's going to be interesting just to see. Oh, hey, Miss Shepard.
More so a nickel 2-4-5-2 as well. Now, if you're looking at the defense for the Atlanta Falcons, some of the guys that they drafted kind of shows that maybe I don't know if they're putting, a long-term type of faith into Eddie Goldman here, because I mean they did select some guys along the defensive line that can, easily come in here and take a spot that Eddie might not even be able to make the 53
You
here
can't
right
really
now.
blame them. You can't really blame them.
It's tough. I mean, the Falcons are going the route that they want to. That's the route that they want. I mean, you got to trust the vision of every player. So second round, pick 35, the Falcons go with Rook, or Hora from Clemson. Round 3, they go with my pick that I'm going to talk about here in a long term here, one time for the fan, Brailing Trice from Washington. Just look at the film of Brailing Trice. Like, this guy is going to make a major impact here with the Falcons. And some would say Rook is going to make more of an impact with Brailing Trice, but I'm glad the Falcons did address the defensive line, edge rusher, quickly on day 2, because some fans were still upset from day 1 from the Michael Penix pick. So, and the Falcons going live at midnight saying that they're going to select the defensive players. We're going to select some offensive players. Of course, every team does that, but they did hit the gate. They hit the ground running on day 2. Bringing in Rook, and then, of course, bringing in Brailing Trice too as well. And then a major pick that I think Falcon fans were sleeping on, Brandon Dorlus from Oregon, the 3-time All-12, Pac-12 player. Like, this guy right here is a monster in the front too as well, who's just like Rook. He can move around in different sets and different stunts. So that's actually good that you have 2 guys on the line now that you drafted, that you have to worry about playing them at just one position. Like, you can trust these guys in multiple stunts. J.D. Bertrand, the hometown kid here from Atlanta, round 5, pick 143 from Notre Dame. Then the Falcons go in round 6 with Jace McClellan from Alabama. Of course, in that round 6 round, again, too, as well, the next pick, 187, they selected a wide receiver, Casey Washington, which some fans were like, Casey Washington from Illinois, who is this guy? Right? Wasn't too flashy out Illinois, but when the Falcons do their scouting report, of course, you have Raheem now on the team. Remember where they selected what's the guy's name from the Rams? Puka?
Yep. 5th round.
5th round, right? Falcons got a guy, Casey Washington, ran a 4.46 in the 6th round, who's crazy with the vert, can go up and get it too as well, and he's only 6 foot. But this guy right here got some hands. And I think Falcons know with your quarterback now, Kirk Cousins, there's going to be some opportunities where you see Casey in the game, and it's like, oh, shit, if Kirk can get him the ball, this kid is flashy.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to move the chains too as well, because now you have a quarterback that can get Casey the ball. So we're not expecting Casey Washington to get 1,500 yards or 2,000 yards or 15 touchdowns. No, but I think he'll do his job here well in Atlanta, because he has a wide receiver group that's actually pretty strong that he's being added to, right? He wasn't drafted to come in here to be the number 2 or to be the number 3, right? But then again, you have Drake London around him. You have Kyle Pitts around him, right? You even have Rondale Moore around him. You have Darnell Mooney around him. So you got some guys that has been here for a couple of years. Though he is the rookie wide receiver in the room, the pressure's not on him to come in here and make a major impact. Right? So I don't think fans are overlooking the Casey pick like, yo, this guy needs to come in here and ball out and do. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. You just need to come in here and do his job, which I think he will. Same for Jace, too, as well. You have Bijan and Tyler ahead of you. Them guys right there toting the rock the way they are. You can just pick up from where CP left off, my friend. Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Lisa Shepard's in the chat. Roddy White tweeted about the Penix pick, and he's in support of it. He basically said that the organization is now self-correcting since we did not draft a quarterback in 2021 to sit behind Matt. Raheem said it, Terry. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for bad quarterback play.
That's true.
And then he gets 2 quarterbacks. True. One for now, one for the future. Which Raheem's contract, if everything works out well, he'll be here for Kirk Cousins and Raheem and Michael Penix. He wants to be here for the long time, not no 3 years. Yeah. We're tired of this 3-year, 2-year coaching stuff. He's going to be here for the long term.
Yeah. Well, what Raheem said is that one of his downfalls was that he didn't want to be tethered to a quarterback that wasn't ideal. I don't know that he specifically said that, but he alluded to the fact that, one of his pitfalls and one of the lessons that he learned when coaching in Tampa Bay was that, hey, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going anywhere anyway. So I think this was a move that was done to secure today and tomorrow. And let's face it, I mean, he's absolutely right. If you look at last year, this Falcons team with just adequate quarterback play could have won 11 games easily. Easily. Most of our losses was one score, right?
One play.
Exactly. So I can understand that. And the margin of error in the NFL is so small. There's not a big difference between a team that's 7-10 and one that's 11-7. Sometimes that's an interception. Sometimes that's one defensive stand. Sometimes that's not running the clock. But the margin of error is small. And if you have a quarterback that knows what they're doing, this is a quarterback-driven league, your odds increase. So I get it. I understand. And what made me feel better about it was that they did try and trade back in the first round to get Latu. They weren't successful, but they did try, right? So I'm on par with the thinking, right? If the most important position on a football team in professional sports is quarterback, then, you did sign Kirk Cousins for 4 years, but he's 36. He's coming off an Achilles. You want some assurances. Looking at Taylor Heineke, that did not give me a warm and fuzzy feeling. I can't speak for everybody else, but I didn't. So if for nothing else to make sure that you have an adequate backup this year and or next year, it's a great move, right? Yeah. And it's going to be economical because for the first 5 years, it'll be, you're not paying him as much as you would year 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, contingent upon performance. So now that I've had a couple of days to digest it and really think about it, I understand it. We're probably not going to be at the number 8 position again to pick, right? So if you're picking from 20, 21, 22, 23, that's a lot of draft capital to go up and get a quarterback. That's a lot. So I understand, right? I get it.
For Falcon fans in the chat, for Falcon fans listening, for Falcon fans watching, we're all in support here over the Falcons' decision, right? Here at One Time for the Fan, because once again, as podcasters, as diehard Atlanta Falcon fans, excuse me, we have no control over that. I can't write the Falcons and email them and say, "What are you doing? You should never pick Michael Penix. You're going to lose a fan." They're going to say, "Oh, we apologize, but we hope to have you back one day." That type of shit. So for Falcon fans here, they did secure their quarterback for the future, but then they secured a lot of other players for their future too as well. So let's not overlook that, right? And this team is going to be set up for some success before the draft. Once we got Kurt, even when Raheem got here, we kept hearing about what the future could be. Like outrun the South, like, we're going to win the division, right? We're going to be better than we was in the past couple of years, right? They want a home playoff game, right? They want to get back to unfinished business of 2016, right? So all that is still in play even after this draft class. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed because they drafted a quarterback at 1, or as William Amy said, they missed on TJ Tampa. Nothing's changed because we missed on TJ Tampa. Nothing's changed because we missed on the kid from Texas, or the young man from Penn State, or the guy from Missouri. Nothing's changed. This team is still designed for success. And I think with the team now looking at what they've done in the draft, they can go and look at what is needed going forward before they get to camp. And a cornerback, I think Falcon fans are looking at to say, you didn't draft the corner, Falcons. Are you really looking at Antonio Hamilton, King, D. Alford, Clark Phillips, and some of these guys to say, hey, you know what? They're going to take it. They're going to be the ones to try to fight for that CB2 spot?
I think they are. And I think they are.
Are they going to go try to bring one in, Terry? They didn't draft the corner. What's going on?
I think they're really, and I said this when they signed Kevin King.
Washington guy as well. Right.
But Kevin King was a starter. Right? So it would not surprise me. And look, he took a year off and then he got injured, but he left a starter. Decent starter, right? I don't think he was ever benched. He left a starter. He played for 5 years. He was injured every one of those years. He said, you know what? I'm going to take a break. My body feels good. Came back, ironically, got injured again. but I think they feel comfortable enough with him
Hamilton,
and it could be Clark Phillips.
Clark
But
Phillips.
evidently, they feel comfortable with what they have at cornerback. And this is what I know about Raheem. Raheem believes in coaching players up. I think it was Mike Tomlin that said, every player that comes to you isn't going to come ready-made, right?
Yes.
That's the purpose of coaching, right? Some guys you have to develop and draft, and emphasis on develop and get them to where they need to be. That doesn't mean they're going to be all superstars, but you can get them to be adequate NFL players.
Yes.
And I just because in looking at who and what Raheem drafted, every player that he drafted, with the exception of Penix, may need to be developed here or there. But he has a great coaching staff.
Yes.
And they are all on the same page as far as development is concerned. So I'm not really worried about the cornerbacks, right?
Also, every player he drafted, to add to that, will play this season if they're part of the 53.
I would agree.
Every plays his draft class. You saw it with DeMarco Hellams. You see it with Troy Anderson. You see it with and let's not even get to Troy Anderson, because now there's a lot of speculation around this guy is probably playing a role where he's probably going to be going after the passer too as well. Or he's going to be out there covering into those flats in that zone position, because Troy is fast as hell, right? Yeah. So Troy is back. We saw them go with J.D. Bertrand. J.D. Bertrand's like a Nate Landman, right? That's your guy in the middle. So where's Troy going to fit into this? Troy's going to be all over the place, but the draft class for Terry will play. I will see Casey Washington catching some balls this year. I will see Chase McClendon running some touchdowns in this year. I will see Brandon Dorless getting some sacks this year, because they didn't draft these players to not just sit back. I ain't gonna lie. They're probably going to be an opportunity for Penix to play, right? I ain't talking about Kirk getting injured. I'm talking about the Falcons are winning in the fourth quarter, and it's enough to pull Kurt out and give Penix a couple rounds, a couple minutes to go out there, and we're going to win the game anyway.
Yeah.
But at least you get him in there on a couple snaps. Don't let it be a home game where we're winning big.
Yeah.
Don't let it be the primetime game where we're winning big and we're up 14, 16, 17 points. We got the ball with 3 minutes left to go. You ready? Come on. That fan base finna go crazy.
Or shout out to Phillip. It's 35-10,
or it's 35-10. Big shout out to DFU. It's 35-10, as Philip Sapp would say over there at DFU.
Oh, what's up, Phillip?
And we're beating the crap out of some team. And then here comes Michael Penix in the third quarter. So now we can give him a go. There's some good opportunities for the Falcons to play this kid this year. But I think also Falcon fans are kind of upset because there was no development with Ritter. And then here comes Michael Penix now, and you've already made the announcement that he's for the future. So we'll develop him. So it's like, where was this in the past, y'all? Where was this in the past? Well, it wasn't just Arthur Smith's. Some of the pieces that was around it too as well.
Here's the thing with that, Jack. Penix and Ritter are two different people. And I do, again, they had to evaluate Ritter. If you're a head coach and you're coming in, the first thing you're going to do is evaluate your players. And evidently they felt like Penix's upside and Ritter's upside were not equivalent.
Yes.
Not even close, right? And
no disrespect, still in the building that evaluated Ritter is still in the building right there with Raheem.
Correct. And you know what? No disrespect to Ritter. No, and he could look, you don't know the trajectory of a player. You don't know what a player is going to be. You don't know. Let me tell you something. Rejection is a powerful tool. You don't know. But from everything I've seen, just looking at Penix, the guy can throw it anywhere on the field.
Sure can.
He
From
can
the pocket on the run.
And
he looked like me on the run. He got a couple
80 on the run. 80 on the run. Yeah. Shout out to Carrie. You had her post up. But yeah, no. I just think that, hey, Penix's ceiling was higher. And look, good quarterbacks do not grow on trees, right? The reason why we had 6 quarterbacks drafted this draft is because there is a dearth of talent at the quarterback level in the NFL presently. That's why you had 6 guys. Because you could argue that a lot of these guys probably should have gone in the second round.
Yes.
Right? No disrespect to Bo Nix.
They forced that JJ McCarthy and that Bo Nix.
Correct.
That was a force.
Which we said they would.
Because teams knew that even Michael Penix, who was it that tried to trade up to get Michael Penix? The Saints?
I think it was 4 teams that were going to do it. It was the
4
Saints,
teams
the
were getting
Browns.
ready to try to trade
Yeah,
up to go for Michael Penix.
yeah, yeah. And again, you know, look, if Michael Penix doesn't have the injury history, looking at it, going back on it, he may have gone number 2. He may have gone number 2 behind Caleb. So, the whole thing is sometimes necessity is going to determine where a quarterback or where any player is going to go. There was a run on quarterbacks. That's the other thing. I mean, you see, by the time we get to the Falcons, we're already what 3? We're already 4 in, right? Were we 3 in or 4 in?
We got to the Falcons. We was already 3 in.
We were 3 in.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't going to get Penix at 12. You just weren't. You probably weren't going to get him at 10. So if this is your guy and this is what you believe and this is who you believe in, then you have to go and get him there. We don't know what the impact of our past sin is going to be next year. We don't know. I've heard people say, "Oh, it'll be a 5th round pick." You don't know where it's going to be.
Don't know.
It could be a 1st round pick. You don't know.
We're not waiting to find out if they needed a quarterback next year and they got to trade up and do all this stuff. They say, you know what? Now next year, guess what? We're not gonna draft a quarterback in the 1st round.
Right.
We can now build around maybe Penix. We can build around what we do after this season and how Kirk's health is going to be too as well. But I'm not upset about the pick. I'm not upset about any one of these picks. Matter of fact, when you have a diehard Atlanta Falcon fan like Big Lil Country who's not upset about the pick, you can't be upset about the pick. But I think some people saw Big Lil Country's reaction as this is all the Falcon fans' reaction. Everybody was shocked when the pick came up, except for the ones that kind of knew that it was going to be Michael Penix. And they stuck with Michael Penix from day one. But big shout out to Big Lil Country, man, because the homie, man, he'll be here Wednesday. He done went viral in a Falcon way.
He did.
Right? So his reaction got like crazy amounts of views going on social media.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple TikTok videos, I think, Country done seen where he's over a couple million. Right. So people's been sharing it and putting it on different platforms, and they're like Falcon fan reaction. It was on NFL Memes, which is a pretty big social media content site too as well. So big shout out to Big Lil Country for his reaction. The live reactions are actually pretty cool to see it from different teams. So there was a Raiders reaction where they were mad at Brock Bowers. And it was like, Brock Bowers, what are we doing? Right. And then there was a couple reactions from the Jets fans. And then for Falcon fans, a lot of us remember my reaction, Terry. I got up, I had walked out the room. I went to gather my thoughts, though. Right. I went to gather my thoughts because I knew that we were going to be on the podcast for another 3 hours or so. Right. So I was like, let me walk out, gather my thoughts, see what the Falcons are doing here. But I didn't put all my eggs in one basket on just one player. Penix was on my draft board. He was just at the bottom of it, but he was on my draft board. So I wasn't upset about it. And after hearing comments from Raheem and Terry, you knew what the vision is now. Trust the process. The vision is quarterback now and quarterback later. Develop the guy. Build him up. They kept mentioning the Packers, right? They kept mentioning things that they saw in the past that they think could help them win now and win later. But guess what? My stance still stays firm that the Falcons will win a Super Bowl within the next 5 years.
I would agree with that.
It's going to happen.
Well, maybe we win multiple ones, right? Because this has been done before.
Don't tell me we're going to win with Kurt and with Penix. Don't tell me that.
That's what happened in San Francisco with Joe Montana and Steve Young, right? You got that. For those of you who don't remember that, of course, you have Alex and golly, oh my God, the best quarterback in the world right now, Jesus, was Kansas City, Pat Mahomes, right? You got Alex and Pat Mahomes. You've got Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. So this has been done before. Now you could say, well, it wasn't for a pick this high, but regardless of if you pick him, if you got your quarterback for the next 10 years, then you got your quarterback for the next 10 years. So this is not a foreign concept. I just think, number one, because it's the Falcons, some guys are just going to have issues, right? Because if Green Bay would have done this, if San Francisco would have done this, I don't think you wouldn't have gotten the backlash behind it.
It would have been a crazy reaction if the 49ers would have traded up and drafted Penix. 49er fans would have said, so there's no trust in Purdy. But at this situation, when we have a 36-year-old quarterback coming off of an injury and they're looking at the future, they went ahead and they selected the guy who they think could be best for that job. It wasn't Bo Nix, though. Fans would have blew up if it was Bo Nix. They would have got mad as hell. But you can't be mad about Penix, because if Penix does get that shot, he is still NFL ready.
Yeah.
He's just getting that time to develop behind the Kirk Cousins, on the field, off the field. And he's all for it. Right? He's all for it. I know some people were shocked. I heard about, this person and this player was shocked and this agent was shocked. All right, cool. But guess what? We're going to go out there and win some games this year, right? I mean, practice continues this week. They got mandatory mini camp and so on coming up. I mean, it still continues. Schedule's about to drop. We're about to get into some real live shit here on One Time for the Fan, and we're not going to talk about the negatives. When anybody who thinks this pick was wrong, we missed on some of the players that you possibly had. And we missed on a couple players that they possibly had, but they had a big ass draft board and they knew who they wanted, right? So from Rook to Braylon to Jace to Casey Washington, to all the players, congratulations on making it to the NFL. Congratulations on being a member of the Atlanta Falcons. Let's go out there and let's get this job done now, right?
Yeah, I salute them. I salute them for making the move.
Yeah.
Because that move was an Alex Anthopoulos move, in that you might not see it now, you might not understand it now, but a couple of years from now you'll appreciate it, right? And I'll do it this way. There was a time frame where, before Ronald Acuna came up, before Ozzie Albies came up, before Austin Riley came up, all these guys were rumored to be in trades, and Alex would not trade them. And we are seeing the fruits of that labor now, because this team will probably be together for the next 7-8 years, and you got a chance to win multiple championships. Well, that doesn't happen if you trade these guys at the whim of whatever team wants whatever. And I look at this as the same way as Terry looking at this saying, okay, I've got Kirk Cousins for 2 years, 4 years. We don't know the future. Kirk could decline at 38. Right? Nobody's thinking about that, because here's the way I view the 30s, right? The 30s are that they're all of a sudden it just hits you, man.
Health hits you a lot.
It just hits
very
you
quickly.
Right? Tom Brady is the exception and not the rule. Father Time is undefeated.
Aaron Rodgers still giving it a go at 40, knowing his body is probably in horrible shape right now.
But they're the exception. Most guys around 35 start to lose it a little. And hey, we did sign Kirk, and Kirk could be great. Kirk takes care of his body. He could be great. But what if he's not? Right? Matt Ryan was great up until 36, 37.
There's a couple times when Matt Ryan would just get rushed and wouldn't even get touched, and he would just go down, because he just got to the point where those hits were enough. He took too many as a Falcon.
He did. But I'm going to tell you, when I saw it, that out, right? That 10-yard, 15-yard out, he just didn't have enough velocity for it to get there. So it was almost always an interception. If you go back and look at him when he played with the Colts, he knew where to go. He knew where to go with the ball. He just didn't have the arm strength anymore to get it there. And that is Father Time. Right. And so no one is thinking, yes, Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles tear, but he may not be the Kirk of old. A lot of pitchers who come back from Tommy John surgery, they don't have the velocity that they once had. Right. We got AJ Minter playing with the Braves now. He threw 97, 99 in the game against the Dodgers that we won to go into the World Series, but he's throwing 95 now, maybe occasionally 96. He doesn't have that velocity. We don't know what impact that Achilles will have on Kirk. So going forward, if you feel like this is your guy, if you feel that there's a dearth of talent as far as the draft is next year, and you might potentially lose picks, you kind of have no choice but to draft Michael Penix, right? So I get it. It took me a while. I had to sit with it, but I completely understand. So, Jack, let me ask you a question. What pick did you like the most?
Braylon Trice.
You said what?
Braylon Trice from Washington.
Okay.
Trice, look at his film, y'all. High motor guy, strong. When he gets after it, he really gets going. I'm talking about Washington. defensive front wasn't the greatest in NCAA. But when we look at what Berling Trice did with Washington the past couple of years, he's a good fit for this team. And of course, we might have addressed the eggs rusher in the later rounds, but don't forget about how the Rams built their team too as well in the past couple of years, where some of those no-name guys helped create that pressure and the amount of sacks that they had in the past couple of years too as well. Berling Trice is a guy I think is going to have a major impact, just like Rook, just like Brandon from Oregon. But I see Trice as the guy where fans, and he has his signature, he already has his signature emo after he sacks, right? He already knows what he's doing as soon as it's over, right? So big shout to Berling Trice, because I think when you put him on this team with Grady and David, and even James Smith-Williams too as well, who we haven't mentioned here on the channel, but he has a high motor. He came over from the Commanders. He's with us too. And if they do bring back Calais, but if not, Arnold Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone, Zoe Carter, and this defensive front they're getting ready to put up there, they're going to get after it with the quarterback. The 3-4 scheme is one thing that fans are kind of, whoa, how do we work this? But no, they're going to get after it. And look at the guys that they brought in. I feel comfortable knowing that this defense is about to work hard as hell. You thought the offense is about to be something. This defense is about to be going crazy. Yeah. And these rookies will matter this year. Right? Rook will make a difference this year. Trice will make a difference this year. Brandon, I forgot his name. Dorland. I don't want to mess up his name. Sorry. But the kid from Oregon, he will make a big a positive impact this year. Don't forget, they also didn't draft any offensive linemen too as well. So they're going to make some moves here maybe in the amount of a couple days before they get to minicamp. Some fans were saying, go sign a cornerback. Right? Look at what's available out there and try to get one. Make a trade for one. Some were saying, look at the offensive lineman that you guys didn't go after. You guys didn't bring in a safety. Is Richie Grant's job safe here in Atlanta? People are starting to question what's going on, but we still have June 1st, right? We still don't know what cuts they're getting ready to make up until then. We still don't know how this official, unofficial depth chart roster is going to look in a matter of weeks going into camp. But I don't think they're finished, right? I don't think they're finished. They still have to work on a couple contracts right here coming up, but I don't think they're finished. But Berling Trice is my guy. I think Trice will have a great season this year. Out of all the picks, who did you like, Terry?
I didn't have an issue with either pick. I think the one that I most liked would have been Jace McClellan,
running back.
Just because I like the offensive picks, man. I don't know what to tell you, but I feel like he's going to be maybe a 3rd and goal type guy. You know what I mean? 3rd and 2, just looking at his career at Alabama. He's kind of a cross between a scat and a bruiser, maybe a scoozer, whatever. I don't know.
Shit. Like when we was in Brazil, there was they're talking about eating lunch and dinner between certain times, and it was like the guy walked over that was sitting on the table next to us. She's like, just call this a Leonard.
Leonard.
Yeah.
Leonard.
Leonard.
Leonard. Lunch and dinner. Well. Yeah. And it's apropos, right? But I liked him. I like Zion Logue. I like my nose tackles big, man. I like him big and
That's
wide.
A nasty guy right there. You putting him there with Grady Jarrett and David Miata and Laquel London and some.
Yeah. I like him. I like him wide. So and to be honest with you, 3 of these guys that they drafted, I really could see being pass rushers. Mm-hmm. Maybe not on the edge, but when I look at Rook, when you look at his tape, it's filled with him blowing by guards, by, right? You look at Trice.
Trice is destroying tight ends and tackles left and right.
Right, and
like they're double teaming Trice on a lot of his film, and he's like, "Get out of here!" Like, there's one film he just destroys 2 tight ends, and the running back tried to stop him too as well. It just got ugly after that first tight end. So
he's got Ben.
Yeah.
He's got Ben. Looking at the Bleacher Report synopsis on him, they were saying, well, he doesn't have Ben. But I didn't see that on his tape because I see him getting around tackles all the time. And I see him getting low. So, I don't know if he scored bad on a drill. I don't know if they're
going to mention grades, but NFL Network said they gave us a C. D-Led gave us an A-. I looked at it. I mean, grades now versus the player hasn't even touched the field. But I see why people grade the class, because it's like what you was looking for, what was your need, and what did you get?
Yeah,
I understand that. but I'm not going to just grade this class and say, oh, they get a C or they get a D. I mean, some
Well,
would say it's a B. It's a B.
you don't.
Right.
Let me tell you
But
something. You don't. The game is not played in April,
yeah,
and the game is not won in April, and you don't know. I've seen some of the best teams on paper absolutely suck big donkey hooters.
yeah, because
Right.
some of the grades they gave Pat Mahomes was like C and D, and look at Pat Mahomes
Right.
now.
Right. But the other thing is, you don't know the coaching talent that we have.
Yeah.
You don't know the schemes that we're going to run. Right. You don't know how we're going to integrate these players. There are a lot of players that are great that they might not fit a particular system. Right. If you look at Terry Bradshaw, I don't know that he wins 4 Super Bowls if he's not on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see it. And not that he wasn't a good quarterback. He was. But he was fortunate to go to a team that was, their defense was hellified. Right? And, he evolved into a great quarterback. But those first 2, I think even he would say, hey, it was the defense. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and again, Terry Bradshaw is a Hall of Famer. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm simply saying that a lot of success or failure is contingent upon the system and circumstance and how it happens and how it plays out. So none of us can really say if this was a good draft or a bad draft. You know what we can say that? Maybe January.
Yeah.
Maybe February, when we can look back and see. But there's just too much that has to happen. I've seen far too many teams that on paper were great, right? The Philadelphia Eagles of 2004 were a great team, but who won the Super Bowl? It wasn't them, right?
Fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We're just talking Falcons football with y'all. That's what we're doing. We ain't doing nothing wrong. It's a Sunday night. Everybody got to work tomorrow. Y'all saw the draft. Some of y'all going on vacation. Some of y'all not. But at the end of the day, we're still Falcon fans. Corey Bishop's in the chat. Big shout out to Corey Bishop, too, as well. Benny Bishop just got drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Congratulations, Corey.
Congratulations, Corey. We saw that a couple minutes ago right here. Your nephew got drafted by Pittsburgh last night. Benny Bishop. Big shout out to Benny.
Big shout out. And Kerry, we saw your favorite was Rook. So Rook's pretty good as well. We did see that.
And we see all the Falcon fans' comments in the chat. I told you before the show was getting ready to get started, like, I knew how the chat was going to go, right? We're in this position where fans are live, they're lit. It's getting closer to season. Guess what? That schedule's about to drop too. And then we get down to, oh, shit, we got primetime game versus who? We start off the season versus who? We end the season versus who? Man, I'm telling you, I was about to go crazy in a major way. Corey Bishop's in the chat. Let's get to the chat now before we finish up the show here. Corey Bishop said, where do Heineke fit in now? Do we carry 3 quarterbacks or do we let him go? Yes, we carry 3 quarterbacks, and I think Penix would be your 2. But Taylor Heineke's been in the system most of his life where he's been a backup, right? And some quarterbacks know you're a backup. But then again, there's been situations where you make it down to that Purdy moment where your number is called, and you got to go out there and you got to perform. So some would say, cut Taylor and go get a cheaper, no-name quarterback that nobody cares about. But then again, I mean, you have Taylor Heineke on your team, and you want to try to keep the system going with pocketing past the quarterbacks who could get out the pocket and scramble if they want to. I think they got it with Kurt, who you're not going to want Kurt's not supposed to be rushing for 400 yards this year.
No,
he's not supposed to be rushing for 700 yards this year.
And you don't
Kurt's
want
supposed to be in the pocket, throwing bombs down the field, throwing dimes down the field to whoever, could be me, for 4,000, 4,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. That's what you want. If Penix comes in, he's not supposed to be rushing for 1,000 yards, right? Penix is supposed to have, 400 or 500 yards if he got in for a couple times, with maybe 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, right? Like, you're going to have a guy in that situation. Hell, it could be so bad this year when we're beating up on these teams, Taylor Heineke might even get a chance to play. Matter of fact, you go 4 quarterbacks, you put Jack Spade in. I throw the ball correct. But if you get that Philip Sapp moment where it is 35-10, there's going to be some situations where fans are like, put Penix in, give him a go, right? So those times could happen, right? But Heineke, you got to keep the 3 quarterback system rule. So Heineke's still on the roster, in my opinion, right here. And we'll look at the unofficial depth chart on Wednesday too as well. Might even get a glance at it in a couple seconds here. Jabri Harper's in the chat. He said, we just got to get behind the young man and support him. We chose him. Big shout out to
Agreed.
Jabri Harper in the chat.
Yeah.
Corey Bishop. Marina
Yeah.
is also in the chat too as well. Walter Christopher May Jr. is in the chat too as well. OMT, William Amy, Lisa Shepard. The Dixon Way is also in the chat. He'll be with us on Wednesday. The Dixon Way will be a part of our panel talking Falcons football. He says, smash the like button, everyone. See y'all on Wednesday.
What's up, Dixon Way?
Dixon Way here in the chat. Larry is in the chat. Jabri Harper said, let the season play out before we, as a fan base, so quick to judge.
Agreed.
It happens. Yeah. Falcon fans in the chat. OMC said, Heem walked in that locker room and said, yeah, I can win with this.
Yeah.
He had to, right? I mean, he's telling the truth.
Agreed. So, Jack, let me ask you a question. Do you still think there's some missing pieces?
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yeah.
I look at the cornerback.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at AJ Terrell's just so bing. Like, he's up here. He's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably top 10, top 5 corner in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Some would agree. Terrell Allen is still in play.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just throw it over there sometimes. I mean, I know Hopkins had a good game last year and Mike Evans had a couple games. But Terrell Allen is still in play, in my opinion. So you got to put somebody alongside AJ who's going to help in this zone defense. I heard that you might not be playing too much a man in this 3-4.
Yeah, me too.
So maybe so you go get a guy who's more so familiar with what they want, of course. Antonio Hamilton, Kevin King. But what if they go get a Keller Witherspoon like people have been talking about? He's a Rams guy too as well. He's a Raheem guy, right? So maybe he could fit into the fold. Maybe they go get another safety that they'll be using to play up more inside, that inside linebacker role, like that hybrid type role. I don't know. But I do see that they mention, another Raheem mentioned another offensive lineman on that Falcons franchise call, the season ticket call the other night. And then they did mention the other day about, not reaching for certain positions like corner and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But they did say they would look into adding, which an NFL team, if you're telling me the Falcons are coming out of this draft and won't add another piece to this team, they'll probably be the first team in the NFL to do that. I think every team in the NFL is getting ready to add a piece to their team.
Probably, yeah. Especially after cut day, June 1st.
Preseason, camp, like they're going to add somebody. Like we saw last year. Remember, Brian Edwards randomly came over when we saw that trade happen, and then last year, who did they trade for? Who did they bring in? They brought in somebody else that was around camp. Akuda too as well. When Akuda came over, so I see the Falcons are probably looking into something to say, hey, we can get better here, and let me show you how.
Yeah.
Right? That video with Terry showing Arthur Blank, like it showed his hands of how he's talking, and you know what I'm saying? They're talking about, I guess, I don't know if it was Michael Penix they were talking about or how to trade back up, but that conversation could have been about the future of the Falcons. Look, we're going to trade for this guy. We're going to make this move. We're going to make sure this team. You don't know what the conversation was about.
Right.
So now they could be having a conversation right now, 909, him and Raheem, like, you think we can trade for this guy? You think we can bring him in? You think he'd be a good fit for our team?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that. The Falcons know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think there are some missing pieces, and I do think they go out there and they fix them. Is this receiving core it? Do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the building? Is this it?
I think so.
Is the tight end group it? Kyle Pitts, Charlie Morton, Tucker Fisk, John Fitzpatrick. Is that it? I mean, they got a couple walk-ons and the guys going to bring in to fill the 90. But is that it? Is that the group? We know the quarterback group is it. I think that's it for the quarterback group.
Yeah.
The running back room. You got Avery Williams. You got Tyler Algier. You got Bijan Robinson. You got Jace McClellan. Is that it for the running backs? So if they bring on some walk-on who just wows everybody, he's not going to make the roster?
Right.
They can make a trade for somebody. They can sign somebody in the free agents in a couple of days. We're like, wait a minute, this guy's been a starter most of his career.
Right.
It could go to the defensive line too. If they go sign Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree, then what?
Yeah,
who's leaving? Who's staying? Is Mike Hughes going to be here in the long term? What they still have some moves they can make where it's like they don't have to do this.
Correct. Yeah,
So,
I would. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say safeties specifically. I would look for them to address. I don't know that they will, but What's up, Wallace? In my humble opinion, safety is an area of concern. You could say cornerback, but I feel like worst case scenario, if they don't make a move at corner, they feel like they'll be okay.
Safety may be an area of concern for T. Will.
That's true.
For one time for the fan. But for Raheem, oh no, we good. Oh, Richie and Jesse gonna be good.
Especially if you're running zone.
We don't know.
We don't
know how. We heard the comments here tonight when people were like, wait, does this mean that Richie Grant is staying?
Yeah.
Because fans were expecting, no, you got to get that safety. You got to get the kid from Minnesota. You got to get the kid. They didn't go safety.
Right.
Oh, you know, you got to get that corner. Clark Phillips, second year, D offer, keep him in the slot. They didn't go corner.
Right.
They didn't go safety. Oh, offensive lineman, no, Jake Matthews coming to the end of his career. Let's get that left tackle. They didn't go tackle.
Right.
So what are they doing? They filled what they needed. Did we need another running back? We did need another running back.
We did. Yeah, we did.
CP left. He
left.
Avery Williams is coming off an injury. They
and
needed another running back. I was looking at a tight end. I thought they was going to get another tight end.
Yeah,
Somebody
I didn't think
start moving down the field. I don't know if they had the full trust in John Fitzpatrick.
I did not think that.
But I can see when they signed Charlie Morton and look at Morton's stats and look what Morton did in San Fran. Oh, it's Kyle. Oh, Kyle Pitts going to be running down that damn field.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Pitts, he catches some passes this year.
Without a doubt. As he should.
As Buddy would say, Kyle Pitts is your number 2 receiver.
Yeah. As he should, right?
Oh, Falcon fans.
I mean, to your point, we don't know what their plans are for these players, so it's kind of hard to judge without knowing that, right? It's because to your point, what if the safety not named Jesse, can't think of his name, but what if he's, what if 80% of the time he's on the field, he's in zone? Well, then you feel a lot better about that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there could be some times he's in man, but if
some people don't want Richie one-on-one with tight ends. We've seen it happen before. But that was with a different coaching system.
Right.
That wasn't a 3-4. That was Arthur Smith and what he had going on. Though he has this, your secondary coaches, your defensive back coaches. This year, you may see a totally different Richie Grant. You might see the Richie Grant that Richie wants. Some situations, some certain circumstances is what you're in. Like Ritter it could have been a situation where he could have still been a starting quarterback. Let's just say we made the playoffs this year. Let's just say we would have went the length like how Tampa did. Who knows who would be the coach here? Who knows how the draft class would look? Correct. Everything's totally different when this guy leaves and this guy leaves and this guy leaves.
Yeah.
But if we would have went the right route, could have been a different draft.
Yeah.
Could have been totally different. So let's just go over what we have right here, Falcon fans. We're having a good time here enjoying that the Falcons draft class. Most of them who's been to Atlanta or they haven't been to Atlanta, welcome them to Atlanta, y'all. Go find their social medias, their Twitter, Instagram. If y'all gonna follow them, give them good restaurants and places to eat. Like, look out for these players. Like, they're gonna be out here, having a good time. You already know how our fans get too as well. Like, some of them could be tripping sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're all Falcon fans, right? But Jabri Harper's in the chat. Wallace Smith in the chat. I knew that Penix was going to be the pick because they didn't go out to Washington and work him out for nothing. Falcon fans in the chat.
I felt like that was a fake out. Like I literally felt like that was a strategic move to drum up the desire to just trade for that A pick. And guess what? You know what I learned? My takeaway from this draft is you just never know.
Just never know. There was a
never know. You never know.
That Zach Wilson took number 10 from the Broncos and said that's Bo Nix's number. And fans in the chat were like, we're in that comment section. They were like, ha, low. They're not drafting Bo Nix now. Yeah, they're not drafting that.
Right.
They drafted Bo Nix, who wears
and they drafted him anyway. Right. You just never know.
So
you just never know.
Every fan base gets it. I had Jets fans that telling me, no, it's JC, let them. It's JC. We see it as JC. It's not JC. It wasn't. But Falcon fans hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And now, they drafted Jordan Travis, which Jordan Travis could have been the Heisman before he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm telling my Jets friend, I was like, well, you remember your GM did say they needed a backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think Jordan Travis, if I'm telling you, if Rodgers goes down and they get that call, it's Jordan Travis time in Jets land.
Yeah.
And
There
that's
you
how
go.
that's how the circumstance is.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
Never know. Joseph Avery. Hey, fellas, my wife and I think this is a very good draft. We didn't draft a cornerback or a safety, so we must be good there. We give this draft an A. Whoa.
Okay.
Okay. We get some A's in the chat.
I like what you're thinking. I like the way you're thinking.
A
What
for
up?
the ATL.
What up, Chris? Chris, what's up, man?
Big shout out to A1 Forever in the chat. Big shout out to the Dixon Way in the chat. It's not the situation, but I'll save my opinions until Wednesday.
Oh, look at him building the drama. Look at him. That Dixon Way is a professional. Way to go. Hey, way to build the drama, Dixon Way. Love it. Love it.
That soundboard ready, too.
He said, yeah, he is. He said, I'll save my opinions until Wednesday. Tune in next Wednesday. Same bad time, same bad channel. I hear you.
Anthony White's in the chat. It's always good to have Falcon fans talking Falcons football, because what you want to hear is fans, thinking down the road that, this team is going to be better. We haven't played a single snap yet. Everything is on paper until we touch the field. Correct. So the fans that have that faith in them, that belief in them that this is going to happen this year or it could happen next year, big shout out to you all. For the fans that believe that this isn't the year, can't be the year, roster doesn't look right. Well, the Falcons got to make you believers, right? And I think this year they're going to come out in a way to fight and to make us believers, right? The Dixon Way says, I like our draft, but I will go in depth on Wednesday. The Dixon Way is planning something over here. He's planning.
He's doing something. I don't know what he's planning.
We know one time for the fan is for everybody. So, of course, the platform is yours. But I have a feeling that the Dixon Way is going to come in here with his soundboard.
Think he's going to come with it. Looks like it's not going to just be the soundboard. Looks like it's going to be some substance. But, I'll say this. Guys, the Falcons could win the Super Bowl this year. You don't know. You know what? Let me tell you something. An NFL season is like 2 seasons in and of itself. Mm-hmm. There's the regular season, there's the playoffs, and you don't know. I've said this before. I'll say it again. The best team does not always win the Super Bowl. The team that's picked at the beginning of the year does not always win the Super Bowl. There are so many pitfalls that can happen. You can have injuries. Guys cannot perform the way that they should. Coaches can step down. You can have a new coordinator that doesn't get out of the team what the old coordinator did. You don't know. We won't know until we get in it. But I can tell you this. Everybody that has played for Raheem swears by him. And they play hard. And they believe in him. In that way, a head coach is a lot like a pastor, is a lot like a lawyer. They're trying to convince you of something. They're trying to convince you to buy into their system, to their Bible verse, to whatever they're selling. And if you're in a coach, they're trying to get you to buy into what it is it's going to take for you to win. And Raheem is a great communicator. Not only that, Raheem has been around the game long enough to know he hires the best talent. So this team is going to be coached well. And this is what I would like Falcon fans to implore. Hey, man, one band, one sound. And it sounds corny, but I say it because these news pundits and the news media, they're going to be looking for the first time Kirk throws an interception. Should parents be in? They're going to provide the division. We don't need that from our fan base. We damn sure don't need it from our team.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the talent is there to win a Super Bowl this year with all of the offensive talent that we have. And I'm not saying we're going to do it. I'm saying this team could win one. I don't care what you got in Philadelphia. I don't care what you got in Dallas. I don't care. Dallas has a new defensive coordinator, number one. That is a big, 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 big thing. Nobody's talking about that. That's a big thing. They haven't addressed anything. They haven't addressed anything. They really haven't addressed their issues. Well, you know what?
Even the talks of hearing Michael Parsons and CJ Stroud have their conversation the other day about which team they think is better, and Parsons is like, well, the Cowboys are this, and CJ's kind of look at him like, bro, you guys always do that. Like, otherwise than what you guys normally do, you guys get to the playoffs and just wet the bed.
Correct.
Right? But that was Michael Parsons talking as a player for the Cowboys. about what he believes, how good his team is. But CJ Stroud's like, I ain't trying to hear all that shit, man. We got teams better than y'all in our division. Like, you know what I'm saying? So even NFL players go through those type of arguments too as well, where they believe the team is this and they're going to do this year. But no, I think the Falcons are building something special. I think the fans can look at it and say, man, I like the moves that they made this offseason to get me ready to be a fan again. I know there's some fans that didn't like the Cousins move, but they damn sure like that Michael Penix move. Right? Like you saw it in the chat that night. They was in the chat like, let's go, let's ever go. We got Penix. And then some people was like, why?
Yeah.
But
I like them both.
I know they're going to be at the games, though. That's what Falcon fans. MacTown Dirty said, do you think the new coaching staff can improve Grant? I think any coach on any coaching staff can improve any player. Like we've seen it with some of these players that have a fall off one year and the next year they just get better. Richie Grant, sometimes it was in the wrong spot at the wrong time. So we saw that. Right. And of course, with Jalen Hawkins being beside him his first year, it wasn't much help that he had right there to look over and say, hey, what do we do? It's two young guys in the backfield. Right. I think Jesse Bates can also help make Richie Grant better. Too, as well. Which last year, there was some faults that Richie had. I think that Arizona game with Trey McBride went stupid. Should have never happened. I think the Detroit game, and there was a couple other games where tight ends were just taking advantage of Richie on those one-on-ones. The Tampa Bay game, I think fans would remember too as well. But then to hear Trey McBride say those comments when we played Arizona, like, oh, yeah, he saw Richie Grant, and he's like, this is easy work. You know, we don't want that this year. Right? We want a team that's complete. We want a team that, you know, we don't want to push bullying here on the channel, but in the NFL, you got to be some bullies, man. You got to put some people around, right? I want teams to fear the Falcons. I want teams to look at their schedule and say, holy shit, we played the Falcons this week. Just the same way we say, damn, we played the Chiefs this year, right? Fans know that game is going to be tough. The name alone lets you know it's going to be tough. We haven't even snapped the ball yet. We just know that the Chiefs are a tough team because they won the Super Bowl in the past 2 years, and they've been in the playoffs the past 5-6 years consecutively. They won the AFC champ. They're a tough team. How can you not look at them and say they're not tough, right? Absolutely. I mean, so there's a tough group of games on our schedule, but where do the Falcons rank up with them? Where do the Falcons compare against them? I think they're right up there too as well. And this is on paper, and no, we haven't shown the league that we're a tough team, but I think as a fan, I can look at this team and say, oh, Kirk Cousins is finna 100% healthy Kirk Cousins. Yeah, that's a 4,500-yard passer. 30-plus touchdowns. Everybody's going to eat. Bijan's going to eat. He's going to be better. The offensive line is going to block better, right? They're going to do the things that they needed to do in the past to win these games. The defense should be sound. A lot of 3-and-outs, a lot of sacks, a lot of interceptions. I don't think teams are going to be driving down the field just putting up 30, 40 points on us. That's a complete fallout if that happens, because it didn't happen last year. I mean, we still kept teams within a 7-point margin when we lost, and the year before that too as well. 10 points or less, damn near. We had one blowout. I'm sorry, Terry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
We had a blowout where we blew it. I think we beat the Colts pretty bad. Then the following week we got beat pretty bad.
Yeah, we did.
But that was just the only 2 games that season. Remember, was it last year or the year before that when we had San Fran coming in the building? They were no team has scored 20 points on them, or they've held all the teams to less than 20 points. Man, we beat the shit out of San Fran.
Yeah.
I mean, there's games where we're gonna have it, man.
Yeah. I guess my question is, what blocking scheme will we run? Right. So, there are all of these questions that we'll find out once we get there, but they all contribute to, our success. I would imagine that the blocking scheme that Arthur Smith runs versus what Zach Robinson is going to run may be different. Could be the same. Not sure. But I'm just wondering what blocking scheme we're going to be. How are we going to help out those of us that are better passing blockers? To those, like, what are we going to chip? Are we going to, have a tight end over on that side perpetually to help him out? Like, what are we going to do? These are some things. But just looking at this team and looking at the talent that we have the talent to win a Super Bowl. It doesn't mean we will, but we do. We have enough defensive talent and enough offensive talent that if we execute and if we can get our scheme right, and when I say get our scheme right, I mean get a scheme that fits the personnel, that they can digest, that they can play in. Because in football, the only way you're going to win is if you play fast. If you got to think, that's a problem. it's got to be muscle memory. It's got to be muscle movement. So if we can come up with a scheme that they can understand, digest, get it down, and learn and grow in it, we're as good as any other team. Now, will that be the end result? We won't know.
Mm-hmm. And you get to those circumstances where even back in 2016, every player damn near was on the same page. Every minute of that game. I saw a team that went to the Super Bowl. And some of us may forget the regular season, but we remember that Seattle and Green Bay game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Those were two games you were like, got a tough Seattle team coming to the Dome.
It wasn't even close.
Wasn't even close.
And that Green Bay game was lacking. After
that, you had Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Get into that moment. It's hard to remember now because those moments, the way your brain works, everything is totally different. But get into that moment when we beat Seattle, it's like, oh wow, here comes the Packers to the Dome.
I was never scared of them.
And Aaron Rodgers wasn't scared of them, but most fans were like, it's the Packers, right? I mean, it's a team that has a MVP style quarterback, which at that time of the year, we had our guy. Everybody was backing, but don't forget the year before that, they booed Matt Ryan. And a year later, they're cheering him.
Right.
I remember when he showed up to that Hawks game and they put him on the camera, on the Jumbotron, and they booed him. They booed Matt Ryan. But the following year that he showed up, they were cheering. Everybody was cheering. Everybody was on their feet.
Right.
Clapping like we got them. Right. Everybody. When you're winning, it's a little bit different.
Oh, it's a lot different. And again, let me tell you, from, I would say, week 9 of the 2016 season, I knew we were going to the Super Bowl because we were decimating teams and nobody could figure out that offense. You had Julio, you had Gabriel, you had Sanu, you had Devontae, you had nobody could stop that offense. You couldn't stop it. I was not worried about Green Bay. The only thing that worried me a little bit was the Patriots. But to be honest with you, again, Green Bay, I was never worried about because we demolished Seattle. Like, Seattle got some garbage points at the end, but we took it to them. We took those boys to the woodshed. And Green Bay was coming into our house. And I know 2010, Aaron Rodgers did it to us. But that wasn't 2010, and I was never worried about it. I was never worried about that. My only concern was the Patriots, and my concern was that they would eventually figure out our defense, and they did. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you look at 2016, they had a little bit of help.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, anybody who recorded the Super Bowl of 2016, watch the halftime show. That is the longest halftime you will ever see on any Super Bowl. Why is that? Because our center, Alex Mack, had a broken leg. And to those of you who don't know, when you're playing on a fractured leg, right, they're going to shoot you up with Novocaine. Now, that shot is probably going to last, best case scenario, 2 hours, right?
Painkillers.
Yeah. So if you got a halftime show that's an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and 10 minutes, and you've already played the first half, it's going to wear off, right? Conspiracy theorists unite. So, nobody thinks about that, right? Nobody thinks about the fact that in the third quarter, our guard also got help. So Alex Mack went out and the guard was out on that last drive. And we're not going to relive history. But the point is, that team was good enough to win a Super Bowl. And I knew it week 9. So we'll see what that means for this one.
The good thing about it is we have a coach who was on that coaching staff, who's now our head coach, who can help us take care of that unfinished business. We have Grady Jarrett, who's on that team. We have Drake Matthews, who's on that team.
Yep.
So they're going to get theirs before they retire. And, of course, it's going to happen here soon. Atlanta Dog said, what do y'all think about the Casey Washington pick? The same way the Rams picked up Puka in the later rounds, I hope they're able to use Casey Washington just like that, too, as well. And this is a guy who didn't come from a big, flashy school. I mean, he came from Illinois, so kind of fans overlooked that. But when you put him in this offense where you have a quarterback who can get the ball down the field, it kind of makes you look at what Casey Washington can do. Let's just say he's the number 4 receiver on this team now, right? It's very possible that Casey Washington could score. You could see him in a red zone package, right? You could see him in a second down package, right? We don't. Then again, players get banged up too as well. There might be a week where Rondo Moore can't go, and he's getting more snaps, and then Kirk gets him the ball more. But if the Falcons drafted Casey Washington,
they had to see something in him. Yeah,
they're going to use him. Same for Jay Stu as well. They're going to use every single player that is on that team too as well. Raymond Collins, touchdown by Spade. Sheesh.
80-yard on the run.
My boy Dixon weighs in the chat. Larry's here. He says, seriously, Penix has a golden arm while Mike Vick had golden legs. I don't want fans to automatically look at the new black quarterback as Mike Vick 2.0.
That is such a great point, Dixon Way. And thank you for saying it. I didn't want to say it, but thank you for saying it. He is not Michael Vick, right? So before the Vick loyalists get on their campaign, which we know they will, he's not. He's not. I'm not saying he's not a great quarterback. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's not Vic 2.0. And that is a very good point because, again, as a fan base, one band, one sound. We don't need to get off on that. He's not Vic. Guess what? Vic is never coming back, people. He's not. So let's get on board. Let's embrace the new. We are a team, right? We are not a group of individuals. We are a team, right? What Al Pacino say in what's that movie with Jamie Foxx?
Oh, Willie Beeman, Any Given Sunday?
Any Given Sunday. He said, either we come together as a team or we will die as individuals. And that is true. So, before any of that gets started, number one, Penix is a pocket passer. He can run, but A, he's had too many injuries. He really doesn't need to do that. He needs to heal. And B, he's more of a pocket passer. And C, let's just go with the program. And let's give Penix 2 years to sit and learn, and we'll take it from there. Hopefully we'll be on our second Super Bowl by then.
Oh, good. We had a positive talk about not only the team, but about the Falcons selecting Michael Penix. So I think we got through our first post-draft podcast here with no problems, right? So this is good that Falcon fans are here in the chat, and they are ready for the season to start. Big shout out to Kerry, William, Amy, 330, Jabri Harper. 330 said that was a very disciplined draft for the Falcons. They stuck to the script. It will play out. There's 330 sitting there waiting for the season to start.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So big shout out to 330 here in the chat. Kerry said, I agree. Cornerback for me. I was surprised we didn't draft any DBs, but I'm trusting the process. Maybe an UDFA or sign a cap casualty.
There you go, Kerry. Agreed.
Some fans are waiting for what the next move is for the Falcons. Some people are just cool with the draft and how they're going to proceed going forward. And then other fans are like, no, you got to continue fixing this room. You got to continue building. You got to continue cutting players and bringing in talent. And at the end of the day, I think Terry and Raheem and Art and the gang know what's best of what's going on. Tyreek Johnson said, what's up, fellas? We need to address, as you can see, we need to address this secondary. I don't know about Clark Phillips as our number 2 cornerback. And Richie Grant, he put the headache emoji, and he's smoking a cigarette outside on the porch like he's waiting for a customer to pull out. Hey, Tyreek, you don't work at the Waffle House, do you? Sheesh. Big shout out to Tyreek Johnson here in the chat because some fans do agree with Tyreek Johnson. Go make a move for cornerback and look at the Richie Grant situation. Raheem, I know you was in L.A., but we dealt with Richie Grant for a couple years here. We know what has happened sometimes when he's out there on the field. But Raheem maybe sees something different. Maybe Raheem doesn't want to go chase down another safety who can fit the system. Maybe he wants to give him a year to see what Richie Grant can do. Then again, we don't know their next step going forward. I don't want to sit here on the podcast and say, you know what, Falcon fans? Yeah, cut Richie Grant right now. Cut him next week, and the next thing you know, Richard Grant gets another year extension. It's like, oh, well, what the hell just happened? Right? I don't want to be in that role. I just want to let y'all know that I think the Falcons have a plan for every player who's on this team. Agreed. And if we see going into week 1 that Helms is starting over Richie, it could have been a camp situation, could have been a training room situation, things that we don't know the Falcons know. But if it's just performance on the field and Helms outbeats Richie Grant, well, then there it is. But going forward, at the end of the season last year, I think we saw Helms take that leap. So now fans are like, well, Richie's on the back burner now. But what if we start this season where Richie is the starting safety again? Like, that's the decision that Terry and Raheem and the coaching staff, that's what they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I saw some of the flaws in Richie Grant last year, and they were heavy. I was in Arizona for that game. I saw it with my own two eyes. But then again, I was in every other game too as well. I saw it. So Richie Grant had his he had his moments, and then he didn't have his moments. Right. But I know fans, I know how y'all feel about Richie. I'm sure Richie knows that too as well.
And like you said, Jack, maybe the system wasn't for him.
Maybe it wasn't.
Maybe in this system he can play better. You don't know. You see all the time where there are people who they may not flourish in one system, but they go to another one and they're great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even let's take Matt's 2015 versus 2016, right? Kyle gets there in 2015, right? Kyle is not well received. I like Kyle Shanahan, but he can rub some people the wrong way. Because when I say he is hyper-focused, he is hyper-focused. And so there was a feeling out process, right? 2015, not great. Then all of a sudden, 2016, everybody buys into Kyle's system. They buy into the way he's doing it. And this 2015 team, a lot of those were on the 2016. They go to the Super Bowl with a lot of the same guys.
Yeah.
What happened? They embraced the system.
Yeah.
So same thing could happen for Reggie. I'm not saying it will, but it could.
We want it to, though. If he's a member of this 53, he better embrace everything that's going on positively in that room.
We do.
From communication to energy to, you know what to do if this tight end runs at you? Everything. But who didn't see? Come on, man. This ain't. It's like we don't bash players and we don't bash the team and everything. Like, we crack jokes every now and then. But I think Richie will go back and look at his tape and say, "Yeah, I have to be better." Like, who didn't see that? Like, any coach, you could say any one of these fans down in the room with coaching, they'll be like, "All right, give me a player who you guys want to see get better this year." A lot of people say Richie. Remember when we had Duke Riley here a couple years ago? People was like, "Yo, Duke Riley, like, get him out of here." Remember that? So fans know what's up. Fans know what's up.
But he went to another team
and became a better player.
Right. So
a better player.
It was a different system.
Not Hall of Fame player, just a better Duke Riley.
You said Duke Riley was a Hall of Fame player?
No, not a Hall of Fame player, but he became a better Duke Riley.
He did. He really did. He did become a better Duke Riley. He did.
Yeah. John Comiskey, I think he went over to the to the Lions, right? We didn't use him well over here. He went to the Lions. I remember when we had Corey Peters here too as well. And Corey didn't get what he got here in Atlanta, but then he went to the Cardinals and did a decent job with the Cardinals.
And there you go. So I mean, and sometimes it's a different voice, right? Look, everything doesn't happen when you always want it to, right? Sometimes we have to hear a message multiple times. Sometimes we have to hear a message, not all of us, but some of us have to hear a message from multiple voices before it resonates, right?
Yep.
There are three ways people learn, right? There's auditory, which means they learn by hearing. There's visual, which means they learn by seeing. There's tactile, which means they learn by doing. But some people have to do this over and over and over again before one day it just clicks, right? Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen with Richie. He could play the same as he did last year, or he could be 100% better. He could be improved. And maybe, just maybe, we've evaluated the coaching staff, or our coaching staff has evaluated our players, and they said, Richie, maybe.
He has something there.
Maybe.
Let's see why he was the second round pick for the Falcons. Falcons 4Ls here. He said Richie showed us time after time he can't cover it, even with the help of AJ and Bates. He's still trash. For a fan like Falcons 4L, Richie has to show Falcons 4L that he has improved, right? Why they drafted me here in Atlanta? Falcons 4L is going to stand by what he's saying because he dropped the comment in the chat here, and we're reading the comment on the screen. So big shout out Falcons 4L. We're all Falcons fans here. But Falcons 4L is telling you, as a fan, this is what I saw with Richie Grant. So from Jerry Gray to Raheem Morris to whoever, hell, you can go sign Brian Dawkins for half a month. Get him back there. Teach him to do something. Bring anybody, any safety help that come over there and can help Richie Grant be better. You have to show Falcons 4L. What we say here on One Time for the Fan ain't going to change Falcons 4L's comment. Richie Grant has to go out there and show
and
Falcons P4L when we're winning this year that he is a top safety, that he is supposed to be in these names of some of the safeties that's played here in Atlanta, not the one that we want out of here, the one that we want here. And if Richie is on that 53, Richie Grant, if you're reading this, Falcons 4L is saying, bro, you got to show up, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to come in here in this chat again and drop another comment next year saying, I told y'all what was going to happen.
But maybe they see something in him, right? Maybe because
I can
again,
call Raheem or Terry right now and say, yo, we're live. Can you let us know anything
about
Richie Grant?
Can you let us know him? But it's not, look, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, right? Mm-hmm. I could give you a bunch of players that initially, when they came into the league, they were like, I don't know about this guy. Jerry Rice was not the fastest. Mm-hmm. He was not the tallest. But you know what Jerry did? Jerry worked his rear off. Jerry ran the best routes known to man. When you're watching a Jerry Rice route, you don't know where he's going because there's no interruption. Mm-hmm. But he was not the fastest. He was not the biggest, right? You don't know. I mean, maybe something will spark Richie. And look, I'm not trying to get
guys. We don't even talk much about Richie Grant on the channel here right now. But as we go over this roster after these draft picks, a safety wasn't selected.
Correct.
So now here comes Richie Grant's name. Anybody saying nothing about Jesse Bates? And look at Marker Helms. He watching the podcast like, yeah, they ain't saying shit about me. Even Michael Abernathy's probably like, they ain't saying shit to me. They talking about Richie ass. But that's the thing where that's what fans see.
Right.
Fans didn't jump in the chat and go on Twitter and Facebook and say, Bates' job is in jeopardy or Helms might be out. No, they said, what about Richie?
Right.
So that's what we're talking about here on the channel. And it's crazy because we've talked about a lot of players here on the channel and different, hey, if this guy's doing good, this guy needs to improve. I don't even think we mentioned this is the first time we probably mentioned Richie Grant's name as much as we had on this channel. There should be a Richie Grant counter on the bottom of the screen. We probably said Richie Grant's name like 20 times already. That's the most we said it all season.
He's trending.
He's trending in one time for the fan. Matter of fact, I need to start doing that. What's trending for one time for the fan? Us saying Richie Grant on this random podcast, right? Carlo Wiggins in the chat. Falcons really threw a wrench in the machine to put everyone in panic mode. Them reporters been acting like Bart off. How high? Shit. Coach, he's cheating. Sheesh. Hey, look. A Falcon fan said it the other day in the chat, Michael Nellums. Now the media got something to talk about when it comes to Atlanta outside of just playing football. They're going to be on this Michael Penix story every day.
They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop.
And when it gets to camp, I've been to camp. Y'all seen me at the video. I'm usually the first one in the line with Eric Parker, LBB, DeMario Scott. They get there usually before me, and I got to goddamn swindle my way to get to the front because I might get there 10 minutes after. But we are there to watch the team practice and get better. But there are fans that show up to camp saying, I'm going to say this, and I might go viral. I'm going to say this to this player.
Right.
And it might upset him because fans get a chance to be face to face with these players. Mm-hmm. And they have said some things in the past where, and I show Falcon fans, y'all know this if y'all been to training camp. There's a dude, man, Eric Parker knows. There's a dude that goes to camp every year, man. He's just over there yelling and screaming at the team. And fans over looking at him like, bro, what is you doing? You're not coaching the team.
Like that one parent at his kid's game that's just going in, that's just ruthlessly just going in, going off on everybody.
Terry, you would hear him. Number 27, what are you doing? He get out here and make that, man. Yeah, drop the ball. Man, number 44. Everybody's over there watching him like, bro, what is you doing? And the players come over there, he'll never be over there. As soon as the players run over there, he ain't never over there. Can they come over there and sign autographs and shit? He ain't never over there. But Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. It's live, it's lit. But we will be at training camp. We'll be at OTAs, all this, whatever they have coming up. If anything's open to the public, you already know what we're doing, man. One time for the fan is there. Crimson Huntsman's in the chat. He said, we don't want no repeat of 2022. Man, we want to win a Super Bowl. That's what we want. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Tyree Johnson said, I also want Xavier Howard as our CB2. At least he don't drop potential picks. Sheesh.
Mm.
Tyreek Johnson's in the chat. Dre the Box is in the chat. He said, ready to see Grady Hospital 97 back bringing pain to the offensive line? Shit. Who was it? Grady Hospital. Big shout out Grady Jarrett, too. Is it Grady Jarrett's birthday today? Happy birthday, Grady Jarrett.
I did not know that. Happy birthday, Grady. Didn't know.
Happy birthday, Grady, man. Chat is live. Chat is lit. Dwayne Ruffin's in the chat. He said, my people, rise way the hell up. Trust the process.
I hear that, D-Ruff.
Hey, man. You already know what it is. Falcon fans are live. Falcon fans are lit. Jabri Harper said, the Chiefs game is going to show who we really are as a team. A lot of these regular season games kind of show. I mean, teams lose one week and they bounce back the next week. They win one week and then they lose the next week to a garbage team. I mean, we was on the brink of actually getting closer to the playoffs. And it was like, you got to beat Arizona. Then we lose to Arizona. It's like, how? And then we had that Christmas game where we beat the crap out the Colts. And we come out there the following week and get crap beat out of us. So it's like, how's your biggest win this year and followed by the biggest loss this year? Like, what the hell happened to our Falcons? But that's what happens in the NFL. Some games are just situation you just gotta it's that blood pressure. The Dixon Way is in the chat. Shout out Larry. Said Falcons would be all right next year. Coaching would be key as always. And to be honest, we lost last year due to Arthur Smith bad play calling and situational football mistakes. I have faith in our new coaching. Situational football mistakes like throwing the ball to Carolina's defender when you had a chance. No, never mind. I don't want to think about the past.
Like going for it in times he shouldn't and kicking field goals in times he shouldn't. And just, I mean, hey, you know what?
One time, I think Arthur Smith went for it on 4th and 33. I ain't going to lie. Sterling Woods is in the chat. He said, we are in a better position than we were next year. Drake and Pitts should eat this year. I can see both our running backs with 1,000 yards. With Kirk Cousins, I would love to see Tyler and Bijan with 1,000 yards. That means you wait a lot on your run game. 1,000-yard rushers mean the chains were moving. Right. But then again, it adds to what Kirk Cousins can do as a quarterback. And if you have 2,000-yard rushers in your backfield, I'm guessing Kirk Cousins probably put up somewhere between 3,500 and 4,500 yards. Right. Yep. And he didn't play down to the wire with most games. We won games single-handedly, flat out. By the end of the half, end of the third quarter, game was over. Right. And that's the Falcons football we need. I want fans to feel good about this season, to when you show up to the Benz, that we can have those, those relaxing wins. Like the Chiefs have those relaxing wins sometimes. The Bills have those relaxing wins. The Ravens have those relaxing wins sometimes, right? And a relaxing win is pretty much you're in the fourth quarter and you can just chill, right? Like the team is not coming back to beat you. Even the other team knows they're not coming back to beat you, right? There's just going to be a handshake in the middle of the field at the end of the game, and we go about our business. I need the Falcons to get to that. There's been too many of those blood pressure boiling point moments here in Atlanta when it's like, with 1 minute left to go. I'm tired of that shit, right? I just want to sit back and be like, hey, man, we drinking this shit. Everybody get back. Hey, man, what's this go, man? I don't fucking know, man. We beat the shit there. That's what I want to see. I'm drinking with the homies and the game's over. Like, what happened, man? Oh, shit, man. Another win. God damn, man. Well, boy, bad out there, man. That's what I want to see this year. You know what I'm saying? I want to see that when I go to the games. I don't need those people tapping me. Yo, Jack, man, hold on, man, bro. Gotta make this kick. Gotta make this kick, bro. I don't want to do that. I've been doing that for years, man. I want to have say, bro, that was a badass win. I want fans telling me, bro, I remember leaving that Cardinals game and Cardinal fans telling me, yeah, you guys are a quarterback away. See you guys next year. What? What? Cardinal fans are telling? What the? How is Cardinal fans telling me this? I remember walking through the airport after we lost to the Cardinals, and Cardinal fans were looking at me like in the airport, like should have thought twice about wearing that in Arizona. Like what? Cardinal fans? What?
The disrespect, though.
The disrespect from some of these fan bases.
Wow. Yeah, but you know
what's funny? I remember when I went to Cincinnati a couple years ago, and some of the fans they might know about this because they were with me at the game. Justin Newman, you was there with me, and a couple fans that was Thomas Scott too as well. But they were Bengals fans like trying to talk shit. But the thing about it was, I was looking at the game thinking, well, they got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They finna go stupid.
Right.
Sure enough, what happened the following day? They went stupid on us. But we
Yeah.
had a 17-point comeback in the second quarter that we actually could have came back and won that game because they went for it on fourth down. They got stopped. We got the ball back, but we threw a pick. But we were down 7. They were beating the crap out of us until we had that 17-point run in the second quarter.
Right.
It came out in the third quarter. They tried to go for it on fourth. We made the stop, got the ball. We drove down the field. We just fucked up.
Yeah.
But there was a chance to where if we would have scored, game was tied.
Yeah. Game.
Right back. Falcons football, right back at you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, that was one of the most disappointing losses that year. Look at the Rams game that year. Who was down by 25? Came down to the point where it was down to the goal line. Like, oh, snap. I remember Rams fans were telling me, y'all got this. Like, thank you. Appreciate it. But we got to score first.
That was the one where he threw the pick to Jaden Ramsey, right?
One, he threw it. Mariota threw to the shortest receiver on the field when Pitts was wide open. The Falcons game.
Yeah.
You know? But those are some of the times that we had here, man. Wayne DeWayne's in the chat. One time for the fan. It's lit. It's lit. It's live. Raymond Collins said, tuning up the engine and going to get the keys. Sheesh.
I hear that.
This what you want, Falcon fans. Dre the Box is in the chat. And not only let him sit and learn, but everybody keep bringing up the knees. Bro, he'll get to do nothing but practice for 2 years. I think he'll be a QB1 version of Tyler Huntley.
Okay. I can't evaluate that because I really haven't seen Ty Huntley. Does he play for the Ravens? Is that who he's talking about?
Yeah. But I think he has more of a cannon than Tyler Huntley too. He's also Penix is a very good quarterback.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley is more of a runner, right? Like that's his. I don't know about that.
But Tyler Huntley also had a chance to sit behind Lamar, which worked out for Tyler Huntley because they got a pretty good system over there. You know,
that's
Lamar,
one of the best jobs. All you're gonna do is hold the clipboard, get paid for it. Hey, okay, yeah.
I could have did that for less though.
And you can throw Eddie on the run, Jack. So there you go.
I have one throw, shotgun formation. Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Coy Bishop said, "I love the podcast. So much information." We're doing the podcast where you see us at, and my home, Terry's home too as well. But of course, we have some things coming up that we want Falcon fans to show up and have a good time. We got some upcoming events, right? There's a couple fan events going on this summer where you're like, what, fan events? Falcons ain't said nothing. Nah, this ain't Falcons. It involves the Falcon fans, but this ain't Falcons. This is where like fan clubs from other NFL teams get together. And I'm talking about Cowboys fans, Saints fans, Bucks fans, Eagles fans. And they throw like big ass parties. They throw like tailgates in the middle of the summer. Like they're like diehard football fans. But you guys did not know that there was a bunch of NFL teams that have fan groups in this city. Right, in this city. Like there's a big, large Packer fan base in this city. Steeler fan base in this city, Cowboy fan base in this city. And guess what? Oh, shit, we played the Steelers this year, and we played the Cowboys this year. Where? At the Benz. So a lot of those fans that's part of those fan groups, they host these events. And then, of course, we have the Rise Up Tour fan club, which is a group that me and my friend started years ago. We'll be out there, too, as well. Grilling, tailgate style, have the tents up. So if y'all want to come out, have a good time, we'll do some podcasts from over there, too, as well. And of course, we'll have a lot of Falcon fans there. But the last time we did it, it's sad to see that the Cowboy fans showed up so deep. And this is the middle of the summer, Terry. And they had about 200-300 Cowboy fans out there, But some of these fans, damn near, some of them drive in and fly in. Like, we're going to do a scheduled release show coming up about fan groups and stuff, fan clubs of some of these NFL teams. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Like, wait till you see. Like that Steel Curtain fan group that's going to be coming down here this year from Pittsburgh, right? Mm-hmm. That Cowboys group. And they have about 4 or 5 groups I know in Georgia. Mm-hmm. So when they link up with their Dallas group and their North Carolina group and their Tennessee group and Florida group, that's why they're America's team.
They come out of numbers. Yeah, I agree.
Man, they are just, some teams are just deep. But of course, what we have with the Rise Up Tour fan club, we are pretty deep too as well. We have well over 1,400 members in our group. So we're trying to move in the right avenue, which we have been doing for years. And we want fans to enjoy it, right? So Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. If you're on Facebook, head over to YouTube. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button because sometimes StreamYard will be tripping. and they won't let me broadcast on Facebook. It's happened like once or twice. We don't want it to happen again. With YouTube, you can always find us. Notifications, you can set them so that way you can see when we go live too as well. So Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Once again, the chat is live and lit. We're damn near finished with our show. This is what the chat does now. The chat keeps it going. Falcons are at a poker table holding their cards close. Sheesh. Don't tell me they finna hit him with that big spade in a minute.
Hey, man.
God.
About to hit him with a full house.
Sheesh. Kevlar's in the chat. Raheem is already getting hated on, and the season hasn't even started. Shaking my head. I got faith in my
but that comes with it. I mean, you know what? That's just traditional leadership. You know what I mean? That comes with it because people have their own opinions, and you know, it is what it is. Look, we root for the team. We love the team. We sit down. We live and die with these guys. And I get it. You know, you're not in the room. You don't understand. There's so much more that comes into or goes into football than just X's and O's. You know what I mean? You just don't know. So I get the frustration. But I think they have a plan. I think they have a plan. I think they're going to follow it. And I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. And they're right to keep their cards close because, I mean, you don't want the rest of the NFL teams to know what you're doing, right? I mean,
just want to let people know. This is a Jaguars fan, right?
Oh, that's the Jaguars.
You see the comments in the chat, you're probably wondering, hey, this Everett guy, he's super negative. Well, he's a Jaguars fan. And if you guys understand,
what did the Jaguars do last year?
Oh, I was getting ready to get to that. I mean,
what did they do?
He's watching the channel, so I'm guessing he's ready for any response. He's like my boy DJ, like my boy Dez on the Jaguar side. He's ready for a quick response. He's ready for a quick joke, right? He's gonna be here in the chat saying some things about, you know, Falcons and Falcon fan base. I went to school with Jonell.
Okay.
Right? He's also a Bama fan too as well, so he's ready for the smoke, right? So he comes in here as a Jags fan. He's a Bama fan, right? I mean, I was gonna ask him about Jace McClellan. I was gonna ask him, you know, hey, tell me about the running back that we just picked up, you know, from Alabama, you know, but as you can see, he's in here.
Hey,
a lot of schmack.
Let him live, man. I mean, what have the Jaguars done, really? I mean, you know, come on, really? What are we doing?
Just yapping about these cooked birds,
right?
Jaguars
and the Jaguars are so much. Hey, how many Super Bowls have the Jaguars won?
A Jacksonville. Jaguars fan.
How many Super Bowls have? I mean, come on, man. Come on.
Jaguars.
First off,
is hating.
It takes some brass ones to come into another team's fan group and talk trade. You at least need one Super Bowl ring, dog. Well, what are you doing? Where's your ring?
Jacksonville.
It's a one ring minimum if you're gonna talk trash. You can't even ring check us. It's the same thing, right? Whatever, man. Hey, but all love, John L.
That's to us. If we swap teams, that's like the Panthers talking to us.
Absolutely,
it's the Carolina Panthers.
Right.
It's the Panthers. How are they talking to us? It's the Panthers of all teams.
You don't have a ring. You don't have a ring.
Jaguars.
Your accessory. You're missing an accessory, sir. You need a ring to talk trash, sir. You need at least. You don't have.
Dare go to a Texans chat and say any of this.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, hey, whatever, man. You know what? All good, man.
Wouldn't dare.
Yeah, you know what?
Chat right now.
He evidently lives life on the edge, a quarter mile at a time. I'm not mad at it. Hey, John L, man, live your life. Just know your team sucks, sir, and they're on the way down. You know what I mean? But live your life, bro. Live your life. I mean, didn't you guys just lose Calvin Ridley?
DJ Stroud has entered the chat.
Have you been watching what the Texans are going to destroy you twice? You need to be recruiting folks for your team right now, not in here anyway. I'm sorry. All right, you know what? I'm embracing my inner Eric Parker. I'm sorry. Let this man live. Okay. What we got?
Trade a boxer. Yeah, I'm tired of getting to the game late. It's the second quarter, and fans are like, turn around. They're looking like a high school team out there.
I don't think that'll be the case this year. I think they'll be fine.
It'll be different.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be the case. I don't think that'll be the case.
D.A. Hunter said, ready for that schedule to drop.
Yep.
Road Warriors. Falcon fans that do not know, as you can see, there's fans in the chat that they love going on the road. And, of course, when we go on the road, we put on some crazy events. Some of y'all have probably heard about them, from the party in New Orleans to the yacht party in Miami. I mean, we've done it in every city. We've been doing it for years. And once again, the Rise Up Tour fan club is taking it to another level this year. We have Vegas. We have Minnesota, we got Philly, we got Denver, Washington, and, of course, our division games. But there's a lot of fans here in the chat that love traveling.
What's up, D-Ruff?
Away games. And the Rise Up Tour
has Jacksonville even made it to a Super Bowl? They've never even been to a Super Bowl, right? They've never even been, right? The Jags. They've never even made the trip.
I don't even think the Jags have been to the Super Bowl in a simulated game of Madden. Like, I don't even think they've ever been to the Super Bowl.
Bro, what are you doing? That's weird.
Look, now he's ring checking. Now he's ring checking in the chat. He's ring checking in the chat. A Jaguars fan is ring checking the Falcons.
A ring, and they've never even been to the Super Bowl. Like, that's right. Bro, at least we got in the party. You can't even get in. It's like Chris Brown. You can't even get in. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing, bro?
I told him about that like Jalen Ramsey. I told him since that curse of Jalen Ramsey is in full effect down there in Jacksonville. Until y'all do right by Jalen. And y'all gotta do right by Jason. Y'all gotta retire the jersey. Y'all gotta bring him out there for a ceremony. Y'all gotta say he was the greatest player in Jacksonville Jaguars history. Until y'all do right by Jalen Ramsey. Ain't no ring coming that way, big bro.
That's like
London Jags. Matter of fact, their video that they showed in London about how the Jacksonville Jaguars started playing in London, you would have thought that, oh shit, this is the London Jaguars we're playing. Like, this is greater than being at the game in Jacksonville.
Well, they basically are.
You should have seen it. They had team stores. They got team stores and everything out there. It's like, are you guys not ready for this? It was getting ready to happen in a couple years. Like, they will easily move the Jags and put them over there in London. And thanks to Mr. Khan, that's what's going to happen. And the London fans are going to love it.
They will love it.
Love it. Josh is in the chat. The Jags lost to the NFC Championship game to the Pats. Sheesh.
Yeah, but they never made it to the Super Bowl. That's the point. They never made it. So, whatever. Bro, come on. For real, dude, get serious. Come on.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Keep these in the chat. Falcon haters are funny. Like Matty Ice once said, get off my motherfucking field.
Get off my... Wait, no, what did he say? Oh, he did tell them that. He did tell the Panthers that. He did. Get off my... Yeah, he was on one that day. He was. He sure... I forgot about that. He sure did. He told them that. And
then people to protect Tony Khan on AEW. God. Jeez. Gosh. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, wait, King Quest is in the chat.
Boom.
Done it all, done it all, done it all.
He chose violence. He chose violence, Jack. Oh, God, we done got it started. That Jag team was deep as hell.
Right now, too. He's typing up something right now. You already know. That Jag team was deep as hell. Hey, let me tell you something. Fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. This is great. When
they were deep enough in the parking lot. They never made it to the Super Bowl. They was deep. They was real deep on that plane going back home, weren't they? Yeah, they were.
The curse of Jalen Ramsey. Jalen was sitting over there like Whoopi Goldberg and Color Purple staring at your ass.
You do right by me.
Till you do right by me.
Do right by me. You so hard for to beat me.
Jeez.
Man.
You told that wide receiver to beat me. Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. This is great. This is great when Falcon fans can take over the chat. That's what we want here on One Time for the Fan. We want y'all to show up here on the channel and talk about the Falcons.
Don't think you're gonna be a Jag fan and take over though, bro. I don't know what you heard. This ain't that. This ain't that.
He's in the chat. Now he's dropping the Super Bowl score.
I know y'all know my brother. I know y'all know my brother Eric Parker, and if you do, you know what I'm saying. Don't do that around here.
So what you don't know about Jarnell now? Jarnell shows up to the Falcons camp wearing the Jags jersey.
Good for him. Good
that
for
was
him.
The day that the Jags were practicing with the Falcons, right?
Good for him.
And he shows up over there, and of course he knows me. So guess where he's at? He's over there by me. So fans are like, "Yo, Jack, yo, hey, yo, Jack, yo,
hey man,
yo, who's the guy? Who's him?
Hey,
Who's
man.
he?" I say, "Hey man, I don't know how he got tickets to this event. I don't know what's going on, but he's here to watch the Falcons practice."
Well, I guess he wanted to see a real. I guess he wanted to see a real team practice. Bruh.
You should have seen him, man. I get Trevor Lawrence to sign my jersey. You over there yelling the player's name. Just call Trevor. He gonna come over here anyway. No, we ain't coming over. Then he gonna ask Deion Jones some. You ready for the Jags to beat you? Some nonsense. He asked Deion Jones. Deion like, man, like Jack, who this? Man, who'd you bring, bro? Like, man, bro. I didn't bring him. Like, he followed me, guy. I don't know where it came from.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Look, no disrespect to him, but what do you expect if you come inside of a Falcons chat room like, bro, we not having that? Do you know who my brother is? Do you know? Have you seen my brother in chat? It came from somewhere. You're not gonna come up in a Falcons chat doing that.
Hey,
brings you.
Terry got so.
But you ain't gonna do that. I'm sorry, bro. You ain't gonna do that. You got the wrong chat, bro.
Terry himself, he done got so hyped.
No, I'm gonna talk about you, bro. I'm not.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. This is what the podcast is all about. I want to make sure you good. I want to make sure fans are enjoying this evening. I want to make sure the fans are getting ready for work the right way. Go watch some highlights of some of these players. Get ready for what these players
watch
can do.
The old game of the Falcons whooping the Jaguars' ass. That's what you watch. That's what you watch. I said it.
It is true. We do have a lot of wins over them.
I said it. I bet you can find more of those than the other way. I bet you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He'll be back in the chat. Jarnell's a fan. Matter of fact, I think me and him probably gonna be golfing later on this week, so I get a chance to hear what he has to say about.
Tell him Uncle T. Will says the Jags suck and they'll suck this year, and tell him I said it with love, but they're gonna suck big old fashioned donkey hooters. And guess what? Their division belongs to the Texans, like it did last year. Tell them to focus on that. Tell them to focus energy on that instead of hating on my Falcons. There you go. And wish him love. Wish him love. There you go.
I got my own soundboard over here.
I'm just saying, bro. Don't do that. Don't you ever come in my Falcons chat on another team. You ain't gonna do that. At least old boy, who is it? Old boy from Washington was cool. You know what I mean?
So Washington fan that came here at the time is super dope, super cool. But I will say we had a Saints fan in here one time. He jumped in the chat. That was the last time I saw him. He jumped in the chat. He didn't even say hello to everybody. He just started saying who that, started dropping some music notes and a bunch of different emojis that represent New Orleans. And fans were like, yo, who's buddy in the chat? So I'm scrolling through the chat and I'm like, okay, who's cuz? Well, you gonna at least say hello to everybody? And I put his comment on the screen and he goes right back to the who that's, right back to who that. I say, hey, bro, you gonna come in here and be respectful to this chat. We're gonna get you up out of here. And then he was like, nah, y'all team this and that. Who that? Beep. It was quick for him.
But guess what?
What did you expect? Here on One Time for the Fan. Only fan.
What did you expect, Jack? I mean, he was a Saints fan. What did you expect? Come on, man.
I'll turn One Time into the fan into only fan. You be the only fan, but banned this motherfucker.
There you go. I mean, bro, that's like a blood showing up at a Crip family reunion. Shit. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
Who's
it ain't going to be good.
One Time for the Fan. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We have a bunch of big shows coming up. We want to make sure you all are here for it. We have a big show on Wednesday. We have a panel with some content creators. We want to make sure y'all can not only follow these content creators, but hear what they have to say, because they are fans too, right? So they're going to be here talking Falcons football with us Wednesday. We have another great show for Breakfast with One Time for the Fan back on Friday at 9 a.m. And then, of course, we have another show next week, Sunday, talking Falcons football. But sometime this week, the Falcons not the Falcons, the NFL should announce when the schedule release is going to be, right? And for us here at One Time for the Fan, once again, we're going to have a big schedule release show with a lot of special guests, right? Talking about the schedule, but really we're talking about this Rise Up Tour fan group. Falcon fans have been asking me, and a lot of people have signed up too as well since I've been posting it here in the chat. But we've been doing it for over 6 years, right? So we want to make sure that fans. Jarnell says, "Well, look at the Jags fan." He says schedule release is May 18th.
I can get behind that. Appreciate you, Jarnell. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
I have to go fact check this motherfucker.
Oh, you say he's intentionally trying to throw us off, Jack? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just looking.
This
one right here says
NFL
on
another
fans
level.
expect to see May 9th. This one said May 9th. NFL schedule release. Does it have, Jarnell, can you give us, that says coming in May. That's all we see here is coming in May. But then again, who knows? We'll see. But guess what? We're going to have a big podcast here.
That's what's up.
We're going to have a big podcast here. We want to make sure fans are enjoying what we have at One Time for the Fan. But if you're going to any road game this year, home games, we can always link up because you already know where to find me. I'm a season ticket holder. But if you're going on any road games this year, if you're going to Vegas, you're going to Minnesota, anywhere, we got to get you on with the Rise Up Tour. We got to get you on with something special so we can get you with the right people, some real diehard Atlanta Falcons fans. Y'all going to love this. Probably never seen something like this before. But like I said, we're well over a good amount of probably 1,200 or 1,300 in our group. So the group keeps growing, and it's going to continue to grow because we are diehard fans. Terry, shout outs for tonight. This was a great show. 2 hours, no draft, just a little bit of post-draft coverage, but 2 hours, man. And sorry for those that saw us start late, but we covered it with the grace time.
I think we kind of made up for it, Jack. I think
we made up for it again.
We kind of made up.
Jeff Wolf is going to be upset. He's going to be happy about this.
Yeah. Jeff likes the long show. I've noticed that, right? Jeff
once showed up for training camp at 3 a.m.
He's dedicated, brother. He's dedicated.
But the gates don't open until 9.
All good, man. All good. Hey, you're never late if you're early. I'm just saying.
Shit.
Hey. No, seriously. Thank you. First off, thank you to all the fans in this chat, even Janelle. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys showing up. It's fun. We get to come up here and talk about the Falcons, which we love. It's great. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for your feedback. Thank you guys for your opinions. Really makes it interesting. And I don't know about you, Jack, but gives me something to look forward to during my week of work and everything else and all of my home duties and everything, all the pitfalls and adversities and successes and failures that we go through. So first and foremost, thank you to the chat. Thank you to God for waking me up this morning. Thank you to God for everything that you've done, continue to do for me. Thank you for blessing my mother and my family. Thank you to my family. Thank you to Eric Parker, number one, for hooking me up with you. I keep thinking about him and that argument. We had an argument, by the way, the day after the draft.
Gosh.
Which we'll get into. We'll get into it Wednesday. We didn't have an argument. It was just kind of a discussion of, oh, well, next time you'll listen to me when so-and-so. And you know what I told him? I said, but Eric, I told you we were going to draft Bijan. You know what his response was? Yeah, but I wasn't disrespectful. Now I want you to know he was disrespectful. But I just want to argue with him at the point. Okay.
Family drama.
He was.
To the podcast soon.
He was disrespectful, okay? Because he was like, that just doesn't make sense. But I let him have it because he's my little brother. I let him have it. But I want y'all to know in the chat, he was disrespectful. Now, was I more disrespectful? I probably was because I was on one. But
Eric Parker's he's a cool fan, man. But he's also a good friend.
He's my brother. I love him. But you guys don't believe he argued. We go back and forth all the time. And you know what? One podcast. One, because y'all could only stand one. I'm gonna bring some of my cousins, and you will see the family dynamic. Okay, you will see it anyway. But thank you to Eric Parker.
The Parkers.
Oh my God, bro.
It's
We
a
got,
lot. It's a lot. I know when
bro,
Eric gets going on the conversation, it's gonna be heavy. It's like
bro. We got 3 cousins because they all came up together. We got 3 cousins, and then Eric. And when they get together, man, it is freaking hilarious because they clown on each other. Like my family, what we really excel in. I'm probably the worst one, but we clown each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are the best at it. So when Eric and his cousins get together, oh my God. Anyway, long story short, thank you to Eric. Jack, thank you. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me. And as long as you keep inviting me, I'll keep coming. Appreciate it. I'm going to defer to you. Go ahead.
Hey, Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Amazon Podcast. Dwayne Ruffin, we're going to get Dwayne on our scheduled release show because Dwayne Ruffin is one of the admins for the Rise Up Tour. But Dwayne, he can tell you he's on the West Coast. He is literally at the top of the West Coast.
Yep.
And he travels to a lot of games, home and away. But Dwayne can tell you what we do on the road because a lot of games Dwayne travels to is on the road. Like we saw Dwayne in Arizona, we saw him in Tennessee, we see him damn near every city. But he's flying from California to all these cities to make all these games, right? So it's good to have Dwayne Ruffin that's going to be on our scheduled release show. He's going to give you guys just a little bit of his experience when he travels on the road, what we do with the tour. I mean, we can tell you about the host hotel when we have in Arizona last year. We had over 50 rooms blocked, only Falcon fans. One hotel, 2 minutes from the stadium. Like what we do with the Rise Up Tour fan club is major. There he is right there. He said, damn right. I mean, he was there after the game too as well when Bijan's family called his son over to go take a picture and go get an autograph with Bijan.
What's up?
Right? Like we do the full experience, man. We're not just like diehard fans that just like, oh, hi and bye. Man, we partying, eating breakfast, tailgates. But we put on a whole weekend full of things that people can do. Jono said, was y'all at the Holiday Inn by Top Golf? This guy is something, man. I gotta give Jarnell though. He got a little jokes here and there, but we're getting ready to play golf this week. I know he's probably like a plus 127 handicap. So he's gonna be surprised when he gets out there and gets slapped.
Hey, I need you to get him. I need you. Hey, for the Falcons, Jack.
I'm gonna beat
for
him
the Falcons, Jack. I need you to get him.
He probably has like $3,000 clubs and everything. He's gonna get beat back.
I need you to get him, Jack. I need you to get him.
Diane Markham's in the chat too. Well, here's a cool thing about Diane. Diane's gonna be on the podcast where I get Ben, her husband, on the podcast if I can, if they have an opportunity to join us. But guess what? They heard the story of 80 on the run. They know the true story of 80 on the run.
The true story. The true story. The one that now isn't there a movie coming out about this story?
I've been hit up by Timu for a documentary, but don't like the people.
It was a New Line Cinema. It was a New Line Cinema.
No, we didn't get to that. We didn't get to that level yet, but start somewhere.
Okay. All right.
Start somewhere.
I just want to know who's going to play Jack.
Arizona covering
Monster Jam, and that's
we was at the Marriott Renaissance. You might not have the right credit card to check in there.
Oh, you don't got to do that, Jack.
I'm just saying, brother. I'm just saying. They don't use Chime. Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
Oh my God,
make sure y'all are having a good time. Man. We'll see y'all Wednesday night.
Unnecessary roughness.
Wednesday night. Well, it can be challenged now because now the new rule is somebody can challenge that, right? So the first referee says okay, the second one can say, hold on a second, we're going to challenge that again. So it might be overthrown. Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Once again, we'll be back Wednesday, 8:00, talking Falcons football. We got a panel of some Falcon fans and content creators who would love to chat with you all. This has been great here tonight. Terry, thank you. Big shout out to Bodie. Big shout out to Chase. We'll see y'all back at Wednesday, man. Terry.
See you then.
Rise up, man.